Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back to the random show. Pardon me for the lateness. I had to get a little munch on. Took a bit longer than expected. Had to chow down some spring rolls, but we're here. We're here. Okay. But yeah, big up everybody. Big up everybody here. Hopefully you're all locked in. I'm gonna make sure everybody's popping in and stuff. But big up everybody in the stream chat again. Apologies for the lateness. You know how it is. When spring rolls are available, you have to chow them down. You know, when spring rolls are available, you have to flipping wrap these little fat lips around them and shove them into your esophagus when spring rolls are around. My hands are kind of sticky and shit, but it is what it is, right? We get to the show. Didn't have time to wash my hands, but hey, we have to keep it moving. We have to keep it moving. Big up everybody in the stream chat, locking in. I appreciate every one of you. It's all been good and stuff. Hanging in there. Thank you for waiting and being patient. I do appreciate that. But hey, DraftKings. But just betting. Nah, I apologize, man. I should have come earlier. I just, the food was there and I just couldn't say no. And then, 10 minutes becomes 20 and then here I am. But anyway, what can we do? We're here. We're here now. We're here and we're queer. It is what it is. We're rolling. We're keeping it going. Yeah? So it is what it is. Are you in Korea? Yeah, I am, brother. I'm actually half Korean. People don't know that about me, Tuka, but I'm actually half Korean. It's definitely something that I just try and keep to myself. I don't really like to speak about it too much, but yeah, I'm half Korean, brother. Half Korean, you know me? So big up all my K-pop man them out there. You feel me? K's, big up the K's. Oh, I don't know. Is that how you do it? Big up my K's. We all my K-man them, right? But yeah, big up everybody in the stream chat. I appreciate all of you. What we're gonna say here? I'm gonna do the show, right? But I'm probably not gonna watch the live stream of the UFC now, unless you guys want me to later on. But I'm just gonna run through the show, the stuff that the topics I already got lined up and stuff. But if later on, if the fights are on and you want me to do it, then I'll do it. I'll do a little watch along stuff. But it's not gonna be the best, to be honest. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just watching it like a fan. I'm not balls deep into anything. I'm a casual, so you're not gonna get any good insights from me. I don't know what a fucking Oompa Loompa is. Was it Omoplata Oompa Loompa? What's that move called? Omoplata? Is that it? Oompa Loompa Omoplata? You guys know in the chat. I don't know what that shit is. I know what an armbar is, right? I know what a rear naked choke is, right? I know that. I know what a calf kick is. Head kick, obviously, right? I know what a jab looks like, a hook, an uppercut, but everything else, What's that, Crash? It's an outdated move. It doesn't matter. Okay, cool. A sumo platter. A sumo platter. That should actually be a good move. Exactly. Gamebrew said, then don't worry about it. Okay, exactly. See, Gamebrew heard my analysis already. He heard my analysis, the Oompa Loompa. There goes Wonderboy Thompson going for the Oompa Loompa. A, Wonderboy's out, and B, he doesn't do any jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Imagine me saying Wonderboy Thompson again with the Oompa Loompa, straight from the top ropes. But yeah, anyway, what can we do? Oh, good. Bruh. Honestly, you know what happens to me, right? Every time I drink like a sugary drink like this is just pure orange juice, like from a shop or something. It's nothing healthier at all. And it's so sugary, right? It's so fucking rich. Carrying on that meme. It reminds me of fucking Wings of Redemption. Wings of Redemption is known for being somebody that's addicted to Pepsi and Coca-Cola, right? He fucking drinks it every single day. And I remember when I was a kid, at home, my parents would always buy us like big bottles of fizzy drink. That's what we used to always drink all the time, like lemonade, orangeade or whatever. Then it came a point where we just stopped drinking it. I'm not sure if it was our mum not buying it anymore or because we stopped drinking. I don't know who was responsible, but there was a time where we all of a sudden started drinking water. And I'm just thankful of that time. I'm really thankful that I had that period in my life where something happened and I just stopped drinking fizzy drinks or just juice with sugar in it and just started drinking water as like as a drink to drink when I'm having dinner in the morning, whatever. It was something that I kind of used to quench my flipping thirst. And I'm thankful for it because it's clear from Wings of Redemption, as much as I can take the piss out of him for being a fat shit, it's clear that it's obviously an addiction. It's really difficult to kind of stop drinking that shit if you really like it, because obviously sugar is really addictive. So I'm just thankful that I had a period in my life where I didn't, I wasn't, because I can't imagine if I was doing that all the way through until my adult age, it'd be really impossible to kind of not want to pull for a Coke every time you're eating or every time you want to drink. Whereas now, the first thing I always run to is water, do you know what I mean? Which is a good thing. That 90, I guess I'll say 80% of my hydration is usually to do with water. So every time I drink these like sugary drinks, I think to myself, Wings of Redemption, how's he able to drink Pepsi every day? Like, just for me, the gas alone will make me explode, right? It'll fucking turn me into a fucking hot air balloon, the gas on its own. But I can't imagine how drinking it every single day can be that satisfying, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing better than a fucking chilled can of Coke, right? A can of Coke or Coke in a bottle that's been chilled. You pop that bad boy open, you pour it into a glass, or you drink it straight from the bottle or from the can. Perfection. But in my opinion, it hits harder when you don't drink it a lot. When it's like, here and there, it hits the best. The worst version of fizzy drinks is the shit you get from the fucking taps and bars. That's the worst version in the world. The worst version. It's so horrendous. That's why sometimes if I go to a bar and I want to get a mixer, I usually try and get them to give me a fucking, a double shot of whiskey or something, and I'll get the can myself or a bottle. I don't want them pouring it from the tap, because that tap fizzy drinks, because I've never actually, even though I've done some work in bars and stuff, I've never actually seen what the refill machine of like the taps and bars looks like. So I know if I was a bartender and I saw that, it would probably make me sick, because I don't know what it looks like. Like, what does it look like when it comes in? Is it like in a bag? Is it in a box? Is it like in a drum? Like, what is it? It must be awful, that shit they put in the taps on fucking in bars. Because I think if I see what that looks like, it's probably gonna be, it'll put me off for fucking life. So I'm actually happy that I usually, for the most part, if I'm gonna have a drink, I'll usually kind of, get the fucking, the little can from the fridge and then pour it myself in a bar and stuff. Those tubes never get clean. Oh my God, don't say that, Natashki. Those tubes never get cleaned out. Can you imagine what that must taste like? What that must look? Can you imagine the funk in that? Oh my God, yeah, the rubber hose never gets cleaned. Oh my God. Oh my God, honestly, sometimes it's horrible working in these kind of industries. Behind the scenes, you get to see the worst shit ever, man. It'll put you off. Very rarely do they get cleaned. So they just, so what? They just leave the pipes and just, so no one ever uses one of those little like those things to fucking clean That's very weird. Anyway, those very those little gadgets that you can use. It's got a little brush that can clean a pipe. No one ever uses that. The tubes are super long, so lots of room for growth. Yeah, let's stop that subject, man. It's making me sick. Let's stop that. I'm alright. Let's switch that subject. Sorry for opening the fucking show with that, but let's switch that subject. It's legitimately making me sick. God Almighty, man. Can you imagine? I can't imagine, man. Only if the bar pays for it regularly. Jesus, yes, of course. So I guess most bars don't pay for that shit. So most bars are gonna be, stuff is gonna be full of gunk. It just is what it is. You're really, I guess in some respects, going to a bar, you really are playing with your life in it. you're really taking a gamble that they do some level of fucking cleaning. But hey, what can you do? Let's move on from that one. So next step. Let's talk about this. So I just seen this recently on the Reddits, and I have to be honest, it kind of broke my heart. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of broke my heart, because basically, metaphorically wise, it seems like SMACC from back on FIGG, community side of things, one of the hosts on there has literally and figuratively crashed out via this video clip that I've seen of him essentially being involved in a high-speed crash somewhere in South LA. And it's disappointing, because if you watch a lot of Back on FIGG, you would have known that T-Rail had warned him previously that, hey, you're being a bit too reckless on that bike. I think he doesn't even have a license, if I'm not mistaken. He clearly is somebody that enjoys a good party. He drinks, he smokes, maybe some other stuff is involved there. I can't speculate, but clearly somebody that loves have a good time. and he's, you know, recently got himself a nice big bike that he's been driving around everywhere. And unfortunately, I guess because of what T-Roll's been saying on the pod and other people, it seems like he's been a bit reckless anyway, in general. And I guess this is clearly an example of his reckless behavior, because he was involved in a high-speed crash involving multiple vehicles. As you can see here from the video, this is what the sight looked like when he crashed. And you can literally see him in the corner here next to the van, moaning and groaning as he's being kind of tended to by the medics and stuff. Let's play the clip. Kind of see SMACC there next to the van. There he is. That's SMACC there. If you know SMACC and you watch back on FIGG, you'll know exactly what he looks like. That's definitely his face, and you can kind of hear him as well, moaning and groaning. And look at his bike; it's completely written off. Completely written off. Look, it looks mangled and dangled, like the side of my rectangle. No, mangled, dangled, entangled on the sides like a way Mike angle nowadays. Yeah, DW, big up, big up, big up. Yeah, look, there's SMACC right there, looking absolutely bewildered, getting attended to by the medics. I'm just hoping this guy wasn't drunk or high, because allegedly 2 people were injured and they went to they're in like intensive care. So I'm hoping that it's just like a, you know, a kind of standard crash, as in a traffic incident or a lack of flipping, you know, whatever, looking down on your phone. I hope it wasn't nothing to do with him being inebriated anyway, because that is ridiculous. And that is something that I don't stand for inside, because I hate watching these stories of people. And I think it happens often. I forgot someone told me in the chat why it happens, but I hate these stories of people who are getting involved in crashes. Somebody being under the influence on, you know, drinking or smoking or taking drugs, and they crash, and then the other person they crash into always passes away. It's never the fucking aggressor sort. It's always the other person. It's absolutely unfair that how that always happens, and it's always like some little child or a girl or a mom or a family. It's tragic. So I don't have any patience for people who decide to get behind the wheel or on their bike drunk and high. There's no excuse nowadays. There's enough flipping apps for you to get your fucking self from A to B. If you're a bit drunk and high, wherever, park your bike up somewhere, you know, have your fun, and then get an Uber or whatever else you can get to go home. But don't be jumping on bikes and then putting other people's lives in danger because, you know, you don't have the fucking decency of getting into a cab because you're inebriated. I think you can kind of go home fun. I hate that. Yo, look at that car. Look at that car. That's a massive collision. All the airbags have been employed. This basically car is written off also. And Tashki is saying in the chat, Texas passed a law that if a drunk driver kills the kids and the parents, they have to pay child support for that child moving forward. Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's a more than fair solution. Number one, don't get behind the wheel in the first place. Make the punishments probably a little bit more severe than that. I'm talking about jail time, prison time, like for real. Like I fucking detest that shit. But if you're gonna find a middle ground, then maybe the middle ground is, you know, putting into law something that protects the children, so that if their parents do pass away or something happens in that respect, they're looked after. But still, you know, if you're behind the wheel and you're drunk and you're high and you get involved in a crash, you can take your, like, I'm the kind of person, I'm not naive enough to say that people aren't out there drinking, drunk and high. They're out there doing it. Just make sure you don't crash. If you crash into somebody, your life should be ruined, like legit, especially if that person dies or is like, you know, injured in a way where their life changes completely, like they're in a wheelchair, paralyzed or something. Your life should be affected the same way because you took that gamble. It's a gamble you want to take. Maybe you only live 10 minutes away, whatever you want to do, but just make sure you don't crash into somebody, because if you do crash into somebody, I want you thrown under jail. I want you thrown into prison. I don't care. Look at that car. And forget even the injury to the people. Just imagine already day to day, because I don't drive, but I have friends that do drive, and they always talk about how expensive it is to have a car, right? There's all these niggly costs. You get a ticket, your tire gets flat, someone steals your tire, You need to, you know, change the oil. There's something fucked up with the engine. Suspension is fucked. Alignment of the steering wheel. Like, just there's all these things that pop up with cars, right? Somebody smashes the windows of your car to nick some change in your fucking glove compartment. Nonsense shit, right? That kind of adds to the daily cost, monthly cost of your car. Just imagine on top of that, already struggling, already, like, you know, cost of living is kicking your ass. You're struggling to put gas in the car, but you need it to get to A to B. You need it to get to your fucking job. You need it to get to school. You need it to get around. And then suddenly something like this happens. Now you're carless for what? For how long? Come on. Especially if you use your car for gig economy stuff. You use it to do Uber Eats and to do fucking, you know, Ubers and all this stuff. Like, oh, I detest it. See all the medical people out here trying to help as much as they can. I think they're gonna put SMACC on the stretcher, it looks like. So many people have to come out for it. Like, look at the amount of flipping resources that get used up for a crash, you know? Your fucking recklessness. Look how many resources get used up. Look how many police officers. Don't get me wrong, maybe it's LAPD incompetence, who knows? But look how many people are out there. There's fire brigade, there's ambulances, medics, there's police officers, there's probably going to be detectives later. Like, how much resources have to get used to just look up, to just fucking sort out your nonsense because you were reckless? You didn't, you weren't grown up enough to be like, you know what? I had my fun, I was drunk, I was high, let me go and fucking jump into a fucking cab or something to get home. Jesus. Oh yeah, that's SMACC's fucking motorbike jacket too. You see, okay, I think they're taking stuff. That's probably his Air Force Ones and his motorbike vest from his motorbike club that he's a part of. I think they're trying to get him up now. Yeah, that's definitely SMACC's motorcycle. Jesus Christ, he crashed into two. So I guess maybe he hit one car and the other car hit the other one. There's like two cars here completely written off. I was saying, yeah, Hasib said the worst thing is paying for parking. It's almost like $2.99 delivery charge. I'll pay £10 for the same thing on Prime delivery cost. Yeah, exactly. Look how many police officers are here. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 police officers. All because you wanted to be fucking reckless on the road, man. God, Maddie. Aryan privilege, Aryan privilege, you're a fucking piece of shit. Did a tall black man running, pounding sidewalk, breathing loud, scare a white lady in front and cause a wreck. This chat is Can you imagine me fucking scaring somebody like that into, now God forbid, man, God forbid my fucking heavy breathing and running down the street would scare anybody to run into the road that would cause a fucking crash or that. God forbid. Oh my God, I'd be fucking mortified. Hey yo, by the way, what cars are these, man? They look like, I don't know, they don't look like they could take a good fucking hit, do they? Look at this car. It got hit in the side, but the whole entire tire got absolutely ripped from its axle. What is this? Is this like a Jeep or what is it? Is that a Jeep, Land Rover? Looks like a Range Rover, doesn't it? Looks like a Range Rover grill. The whole entire left wheel is completely smashed, completely ripped off its axis, and it only got hit on the side. That is not a good sign that it's a. Is that a Ford? Wow, really? Okay, maybe it's a. People saying it's a Ford. Okay, cool. Shit. No wonder. I thought it was raining. As you can tell, everybody's so again, forcing feelings go out to the victims. I'm really hoping that nothing bad happened and it's just a minor crash. It doesn't look minor to me. But if this guy was drunk and high, then he deserves some he deserves some proper consequences, because that's completely unacceptable, especially if people are flipping, yeah, I'm not for that. Crash is saying, I drove while on shrooms in high school and there were too many left or right choices, so I just drove straight. I don't like this play game. Honestly, this play is not good, man. I don't like this. I don't like this play. I don't think that's cool. Personally, I don't think that's cool. I don't think people driving inebriated is cool in the slightest. And I think if people, become injured in these crashes and go to hospital and shit, and they unfortunately have life altering injuries, or they die, you should be in prison immediately. Like, I have no sympathy or patience for that stuff in the slightest. Like, go jump off the nearest cliff if that was me. But anyway, next on the list here, moving on, we got this one to talk about. Big up Chappelle Lacey. Congratulations to Chappelle. I saw his post on Reddit earlier, so I thought I'd kind of feature it here on the pod regarding him being made a paid regular at flipping the Comedy Store. I think I'm saying it right? It's called paid regular. I'm pretty sure that's the term of it, which basically means you get spots there all the time and you get paid, right? So essentially, he's got his name penciled in outside of the Comedy Store, where they have all the people who've been passed at the Comedy Store, names ingrained. This is pretty cool for him, because you have to imagine, with his association with Brendan Schaub and all those years of him being essentially the, I would say, human Labrador of that office at the time, right? Just laughing and giggling at absolutely everything. For some reason, it kind of made me furious. Maybe because he's black and I kind of felt like he was shucking it up to the white man. Who knows? But maybe it's just his personality as well, because, some people are just genuinely quite giggly and find life to be quite humorous in any way, shape or form. So maybe that's just genuinely his own personality. But the one thing I have to give him credit for is that he did quickly see he quickly was able to see it, kind of sense what was going on, and made moves. He didn't wait around. He didn't kind of wait for handouts. He didn't hang on for the money and stuff. He kind of quickly cut ties with Brendan and moved on and hasn't looked back. He's the one person, again, similar to Theo, who has never come back to do like a guest show, hang out with them, pop in, check in, nothing. He's completely excommunicated himself from Brendan and that crew, and it's no surprise that he's become way more successful, and he's clearly thriving doing his own thing without standing next to flipping Brendan and Bryan and stuff and soaking in their toxicity. Don't get me wrong, maybe in general him doing the whole show, the TFATK show with what's his name, Malik B and stuff during the pandemic was maybe a good move, because there probably wasn't a lot going on, and he doesn't strike me as the most technically computery savvy type of good dude. So maybe he just didn't know how to set up his own podcast, do his own thing, get his own channel popping. So maybe getting on a TFATK already established platform and using that to kind of signal boost and get yourself out there was a good move. Because if you remember early on, when TFATK happened, when the whole Bryan Callen got cancelled happened for being accused of rape and shit, Brendan went out and obviously was trying to have different guests on the show to fill in that seat. Then he stumbled across Chappelle and Malik and kind of made it TFATK Kids or whatever it was, right? TFATK with a Z on the end. And the premise behind it was it would be Brendan and those two guys, right? Chappelle and Malik. And if you remember the earlier reviews, and if you go even some of the early videos, you'll see on TFATK, when it was Malik and Chappelle, the comments were pretty favorable. Everyone was quite fond of the show. They actually liked the chemistry between them, because for once you got to see two guys kind of take the piss out of Brendan. Like, they were kind of having their own little inside joke, laughing at certain things, and Brendan was kind of on the outside. They kind of made him feel way more white than he probably does day to day. So that was quite fun, and it was quite cool to see, because Brendan is not usually the most open to self-deprecation or being the fucking or being the fucking, or being the one that's, it being one everyone's kind of laughing at. So it was kind of cool to see, and the dynamic kind of worked. But over time, it kind of run its course. But then ended up getting annoyed at Malik. They probably had a falling out. Don't know what it was about, but something happened, and then eventually he got fired, and only Chappelle was left around. But then he eventually ended up leaving too once Bryan came in. But props to him for bouncing when he did, because judging by his Instagram, he's only gone up and up and up. He seems to be hanging around with all the, influential, important people in the flipping hardcore scene, in the live music scene, in the skateboarding scene. He seems to really have carved his kind of own lane in that regard. Those guys really kind of respect him, which is great to see. And obviously in the comedy world, he's clearly getting to do his own thing as well and kind of forge his own path. And he's clearly a bit of a legit comic, because even if you see his specials, his little bits that he put out and that, I've seen a couple of them, and he's pretty decent as a stand-up. I'm not gonna lie. Obviously not all for me, but you can clearly see he's got something. You can clearly see he works at his craft, clearly see he takes it seriously, and it's good to see him get past in the comedy store and be rewarded for that hard work, and most importantly for kind of going after it and not just kind of hitching his wagon to FIGG Boy and Brendan Schaub and shit, because that was always only going to go one way. So big up Chappelle for that. So let's read the caption. It says here, the caption: in 2013 I quit comedy due to a loss that messed me up pretty bad. I think that's the loss of his brother. I think he mentions it quite often, so RIP to his brother. He says, I would try to get on stage from time to time, but comedy couldn't help me climb out of that sadness. I eventually lost all desire to touch the stage. After letting myself sit down and learn how to walk through life again, I found myself back on stage in 2016. The constant care I give to my soul has led me to doing some dope things, this being one of them. Love to the Comedy Store for welcoming me into his home. So big up him. He's got his pointing at his name there outside the Comedy Store. Next slide features him going out on the Comedy Store, and you can see him performing in front of a packed crowd. So big up Chappelle for finally making it in that regard, and obviously credit to him as well for stepping away from TFATK when he did, and kind of realizing it was a sinking ship and it wasn't doing him any favors. Kind of got the most out of it when he needed it, and then kind of bounced when needed to be. And again, it was surprising for me because he came across like a bit of a dummy on the show. I'm not gonna lie. Maybe he kind of played up to it. That's a smart thing to do. I literally can't do that. That's probably one of the things I've realized about myself, and why I probably haven't been as successful in my kind of little scene or niche when I was coming up in sneakers and streetwear and design and fashion, all that sort of stuff. Like that ability to be like the human Labrador around people and be the human laugh track for people and kind of make them feel comfortable and make them feel like they're the center of the universe and they're incredibly funny, important, and that you're just honored to be in their presence. I could never do that. I could never flip and do that. So it's really important. It's really cool to see that somebody, when they can do it, it works out in their favor, because there's proof that there's a way to do it well. And I feel like Chappelle did do it well. Don't get me wrong, it kind of came across a bit weird in the beginning. It kind of looked at him a bit strange. It kind of felt like his, maybe accusations of being a, what's does Flocko say? Like a coon will maybe be there, but all in all, the long game was there, innit? So he got proved right in the end, and it kind of worked out for him. And since then he's only been going up and up. So you can only kind of give this guy props for kind of figuring it out. I wonder if you're Brendan, if you look at him and be a little bit jealous. I wonder, because essentially Brendan got kind of an in to the Comedy Store via Joe Rogan and all those guys. And he never got past. He was never really invited on there. He was always kind of invited to perform at the Comedy Store because of his friends, not because of his ability to be funny. So I wonder, if you're Brendan, would you have any malice in your heart, any jealousy in your heart for Chappelle being passed at the Comedy Store? Would you? I'm not too sure. But has he mentioned it? That's the thing you have to think about. Has Brendan mentioned the fact that his close friend, Chappelle, got passed at the Comedy Store? Has he mentioned that? Probably not. That'll be a good indication of, the levels of appreciation and lack of jealousy that are there. But I think it's pretty sick to see. As like an Uche is saying, it's every single person has gone on to do bigger and better things after leaving FIGG Boy. And this is the name of the game. And it probably is a weird kind of claim for fame for Brendan. I'm sure he probably sits there and thinks, yeah, I'm going to take credit for it. But I would also be a little bit concerned if everybody around me, once they left, 10x their career, but mine seems to be stagnating. Because maybe Brendan isn't, there's this obsession, I think, with the Firing a Kid subreddit guys, where they kind of are wishing and hoping it gets to a point where Brendan is working like a regular job or something. That's never going to happen. Let's just put that to bed. Never, ever, ever. He's got rich parents and stuff, or a rich dad, essentially, who's made millions in the software industry and shit, and probably is invested in loads of things. And having, I think I heard a clip of him that was posted on the Firing a Kid subreddit, actually, of him on a podcast, and he sounds incredibly intelligent. Like, Brendan's dad is like really smart, really sharp. So clearly I would assume someone like that, you know, did well with their money, put it in certain places and shit, and make sure, you know, all these kids are looked after. So there's never going to be a chance where he's ever going to work a regular job. So anyone Firing a Kid or fans like that thinking that, not going to happen. So if that's the case, I don't know why I brought that up. I don't know why I brought that up. I don't know why I brought that up. My brain's gone clear. I'm doing a Joey Diaz. I brought up something. I have no idea why I brought that up. Why did I bring that up for? It doesn't matter. Anyway, congratulations to Chappelle. I appreciate you. Well done. You smashed it, mate. Go on to do big and brighter things, and hopefully we'll see a special from this guy very soon. And if there is a special, I'll definitely will be reviewing it on here and giving my analysis and stuff, because it's nice to see a fellow brother out here doing some big things his way and whatnot. It's nice to see that. It's nice to see that. But moving on from that, we're gonna talk about. Should we talk about this? Yeah, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this a little bit. So, this is a post from 9 months ago that someone posted on Reddit that got me thinking, just in general, about some other things I've been thinking about when it comes to stand-up comedy and stand-up specials in general, and the lack of quality overall. And I guess this has kind of also come from me listening to the Travis Scott album, watching the A$AP Rocky music video Riot, and then also watching Oppenheimer the other day. And the fact that most art, with the exception of Oppenheimer, is like really bad nowadays. It doesn't live up to expectations. It's all a bit mediocre, right? It's all a bit meh. And I was thinking, my kind of general hype, you know, quick hot take on it was that the reason why art is bad is because most people aren't really, you know, what's I say? Most people don't live interesting enough lives to inform their art in that respect. They're not really going out and kind of chasing experiences, going to different places, or just plain old getting inspired by different things. They're not going to the theater. They're not going to see plays. They're not going to the opera. They're not going to see ballet. They're not going to see live music. They're not going to see fucking DJs play. They're not doing anything. They're not, you know what I mean? Some of these comedians even have this thing where they say, I don't watch specials. It's like a point of pride. I don't watch specials. I don't watch specials. And the whole premise behind I don't watch specials narrative, or that rabbiting or that parroting they do, which Rogan also does, is that the idea behind it is that if you watch too many specials, it will somehow bleed into your own work, and subconsciously you'll start telling jokes a certain way. So if you spend, you know, 7 days watching Chris Rock material, suddenly you'll start pacing up and down the stage and shit, right? And like screaming your jokes and stuff, which is understandable because, you know, those guys are at the top of their craft. But I also think there's a real benefit in actually watching people that are good at what they do, or just anybody, and seeing what that person's doing right or wrong, or just getting inspired from the stuff that they're doing. I generally do think most of these guys spend too much time, like someone was saying on there, I think Sean is saying here, Sean's saying too much time on social media. No, I think they spend too much time on social media. They spend too much time on there, too much time on podcasts, not enough time actually doing and making the art. Like a lot of these guys and girls have like 70 million pods. They're on them all week. When's the time that they actually get to watch a movie? When's the time that they go to a comedy club and just watch comedy? Not even go to perform. Just sit at the back and watch it. When's that actually happen where they go pop in to see a live band playing in their local bar, or just a cover act or something? Like, come on, man. All of that I feel like is really influencing the comedy. This is why it's all subjective and it's all subpar. I feel like the excuse that you have to be in the audience, because I said it before myself, I've said it. You have to be in the audience to like it. You have to be drinking to make it funny. No. That's not true. A good movie is a good movie wherever you're watching it on your laptop or in the cinema. A good band is a good band whether you're listening to the album or seeing them live. Like, that's not an excuse. That's just a cop-out. I feel like a lot of these guys and girls aren't actually getting inspired. They're clearly not doing the work outside of podding. I have a theory that a lot of these guys and girls, the place where they put in most of their creative juices or our hard work is actually just podcasts. They spend way more time creating artwork and thumbnails and thinking of cool titles and cool edits and clips than they actually do of their actual jokes. because, you know, maybe the podcasting is way more lucrative. Who knows? But I honestly do think that if we want to see an increase in better comedy, we have to see an increase in people living actually interesting lives. And it made me think of this clip I saw earlier today. Actually, when I clip this up, I'll probably insert it. But there's a clip of Dave Chappelle with Robert Glasper, and I know they hang around each other anyway, because I think Robert Glasper does a few bits and bobs for Dave Chappelle when he's live. They had this like kind of musical element to the show in the beginning and middle and stuff, where they have DJs come out, people perform. It's really cool. But in general, there's this clip of Dave Chappelle at this random jazz festival with Robert Glasper on stage, and they're just vibing to whoever's performing on stage. Dave Chappelle, and again, that makes complete sense to me. Whether or not you like Dave Chappelle's comedy or not, you can't say he's not constantly inspired. He's not constantly around. He's not constantly outside. You know what I mean? Around cool, interesting people doing cool, interesting things. That's obviously influencing his comedy. The rest of these guys, what are they actually doing? They're just in green rooms gossiping about each other, right? Like complaining about who has a special and who doesn't, who gets paid what, who's good, who's a hack, who's this. They don't really spend time on their craft and actually being funny, which is a shame, because you can see it even on pods. Like the best pod I think we can all agree on, really, there's Adam Friedland's show. I like Beach Bums, and then there's Matt and Shane's Secret Podcast. What do those things have in common? Even maybe Tuesday with Stories, maybe because it's kind of gone off the rails, kind of fallen off. But what do those things have in common? Even Tim Dillon, I'd say. What do those things have in common? The hosts are always trying to make each other laugh. When's the last time you've seen the majority of these pods where they're doing that? They're not really trying to make each other laugh. They're just kind of going through the motions. And I think a lot of it is bleeding into the comedy now, which is why the stuff is so bad. But anyway, this Reddit post someone mentioned from 9 months ago says as follows. Most comedians aren't funny. They said 9 months ago. It said, I have an opinion that most comedians aren't funny. Don't get me wrong, there are a couple of jokes there and there that are okay, but I honestly believe that most of the laughing happens due to environment. When you buy tickets to a show, you're expecting to laugh. I think subconsciously your brain makes you laugh because the others do it, because that's just the idea and the atmosphere. You listen, the comedian delivers their punchline and you laugh. I believe some environments are better than others, hence why some comedians are much funnier than others. But I just find it unusual because most of the times I've laughed the hardest have been from videos I've watched alone or with a friend. I don't think this is true personally, because I feel like if you've been to enough live music gigs, or just not even enough, if you go to any live music gig, you can go to see a band play, like you can go see the Red Hot Chili Peppers play, and you can stand there and think this is terrible. Your own objective point of view, you could have that. I don't think because you're in a live performance and you hear someone's playing on an instrument, you're suddenly going to be like, oh my God, everything they're doing is amazing. Not really. If anything, live shows are the best testing ground for the artists themselves to really demonstrate how good they are, what they do. Because you have this whole audience just waiting to get entertained. They're kind of crossing their arms, waiting for you to entertain them. And if you can do it, you've got the whole room fucking shaking. If you can't, it gets a bit shaky. But I don't think you have to be in the audience or the crowd to enjoy live comedy. I don't think that's true. I think people are giving these comedians too many excuses, too many cop-outs. I think these guys are all, for the most part, terrible because they don't actually put enough time into their craft. They're not going out and getting inspired. They're not living interesting lives. Like, they spend more time talking about fucking, you know, drag queens in libraries and cancel culture and Bud Light and stuff. Like, how, you know what I mean? These guys aren't sitting here pontificating about old specials and about bits and premises and whatnot. They just sat there bickering about nonsense, which is obviously feeding into the fucking comedy for the most part. So that's my kind of adage on it in general. That's my POV. I'm not too sure if you guys agree. What do you guys think there in the chat in this? Because I honestly think most of these guys aren't living interesting lives, which is what's making the comedy not be funny. Pods are an excuse for comedians to be lazy. You can't write them many jokes and most people aren't funny in real life. Exactly. 730. Exactly. I agree that 7. That's a good point. Most people aren't funny in real life. Like, actually being funny in real life is actually harder than being funny on a fucking video. And you have to see those prank channels like a good example. Like, being funny in real life is actually hard. Like, those prank channel guys, you see them in real life, you aren't going to laugh. But because it comes across on a video and it's edited well, it probably might get a little chuckle out of you. But actually being funny in person is not easy as people think it is. Rogan's Store radar is always on. Lowe's, Chunk. Aaron Privilege said, as if that's the bot. Okay, cool. No. Gamebred says, Gamebred Footballer says, none are as funny as Paul Chowdhury or Ricky Gervais. Yeah, true. Ricky Gervais is another good one, UK one. Just constantly wants to make people laugh. Mark is funny. Yeah, I've heard good things about Mark's new stand special. I've got to check it out. I've heard very good things about it. Mark Norman's new special, yeah, exactly. Everyone's saying it's really good. But again, Mark's another one. Mark's another fucking rare breed in that he's actually a comedian. Like, I actually get the feeling he goes out and watches comedy, you know? He actually goes and watches other live stand-up comedy. He has watches ones in the past. He actually, you know, is sat there thinking about his fucking material. I know he does, because I remember listening to the pod, Tuesday with Stories, he's talking about having cue cards and stuff. Like, he actually takes his fucking comedy seriously, and it obviously shows with his output and shit and how funny he is in general. The funniest people aren't trying to be funny all the time. They just are. True and Tashki. Uche said Mark is funny too. I'm going to check it out a special call. I'll check out him and Samurai on the same level. Yep, for sure. I like Samurai too. Very good deadpan delivery. I like that. But yeah, I'm going to check them out, man, because I don't know. I feel like these people are giving these guys too many blies. Let's see here. Yeah, let's go. Let's do some. So, I gotta be honest, man. I'm absolutely sad. I'm absolutely sad and cut up. Sad and cut up for my girl Uche. Uche's been featured on the news, and I'm pretty sad. So, you know, let's put some candles in the chat for Uche, because unfortunately she got herself into a bit of trouble. Uche got herself into a bit of trouble, and you know, we all kind of need to have her in our prayers right now, because clearly, you know, things have gone a bit awry, and I'm just hoping that she gets over this, because this is pretty disturbing, to be honest. So let's just flip and see this, okay? This is pretty disturbing, but Uche got in some big trouble, so let's just see this, okay? Prayers for Uche in the chat. Prayers.
CARLEE Russell. I've got her mugshot. Take a look. You're not going to believe this. It's a mugshot. She looks great. She looks rested. She looks happy. This is the woman who disappeared for 48 hours, came back home, said she had been abducted by a white guy with orange hair. She had reported a toddler walking down the street, and then she disappeared. Her family was devastated. Her boyfriend was devastated. But the good news is she wasn't abducted and she was safe. The bad news is she reported an abduction. So as a result, there are now going to be some charges. Let's
prayer hands in the chat for our girl Uche. Prayer hands in the chat. Prayer hands in the chat.
Listen to police.
Good afternoon. Earlier today, Hoover police detectives obtained warrants for the arrest of CARLEE Russell through the Hoover Municipal Court for her actions related to faking her kidnapping and subsequently making false statements to detectives as they investigated this case. Her decisions that night created panic and alarm for the citizens of our city and even across the nation as the concern grew that a kidnapper was on the loose using a small child as bait. Numerous law enforcement agencies, both local and federal, began working tirelessly not only to bring CARLEE home to her family, but locate a kidnapper that we know now never existed. Many private citizens volunteered their time and energy into looking for a potential kidnapping victim that we know now was never in any danger. As we know, actions can have consequences, and that's why we're here today. This afternoon, CARLEE Russell, with the assistance of her attorney, turned herself into the Hoover City Jail, where she was arrested for the following charges: false reporting to law enforcement authorities, a Class A misdemeanor, $1,000 bond; falsely reporting an incident, a Class A misdemeanor with a $1,000 bond. Each of these charges carry up to a year in jail and potential fine of $6,000 upon conviction. As I said initially, our focus was bringing CARLEE home, and she got home. And then our focus has been to find out if there was a kidnapping. We found out there's not. We work every case like all other law enforcement does.
I've never seen anybody interested in the color of your skin in investigating a criminal case, and I expect, regardless of your gender, your race, when that report is filed, that Alabama law enforcement is going to do its job.
Okay, so pray your hands for I'll get Uche in chat, right? But I want to just say this, right? Like, this legitimately might be one of them. This is when I knew she was in trouble, right? No, CARLEE, innit? This is when I knew she was in trouble. When I saw this mugshot, right, I knew this girl was in big trouble, because no sane person, no sane counsel will advise you to ever take a mugshot like this. This is legitimately some of the most deranged stuff I've seen in my entire life. Like, her hair looks laid. She's got a little cute smile on. She's legitimately in this picture living something that I would say is close to her best life. It's absolutely insane considering the level of flipping charges that are being levied against her. But a part of me also says, I kind of feel bad for the girl, because I'm still of the belief that maybe there is like a dabble of mental health issues going on in there that led her to this point. Maybe it's just, you know, viral virus, but my gut feeling is that there's something kind of wrong with her a little bit, right? That kind of led her to this position. And I just kind of get the feeling that they're really going hard and kind of throwing a book at her because she's not a little white blonde girl, maybe. But on the other side of things, this is also quite clear in terms of evidence. An example, sorry. This is probably what would have happened to Jussie Smollett if he wasn't fucking a celebrity or famous or rich and connected, because of, you know, his family are, I think, tied in with the politicians. Where is it? In Chicago, wherever he was from. So if Jussie Smollett wasn't fucking rich and famous and connected, this is exactly what would have happened to him as well. And because she doesn't have the resources, the money or whatever, the connections to get out this the way Jussie did, she's probably going to be facing some actual time. Like, she will spend some actual time in prison. Like, legit. It's looking like it. She might have a fucking felony on her. I think they said it, right? She's going to have a felony on her fucking, you know, on the record. That's going to be absolutely crazy. It goes to show you, like, how far you can actually get and how you can actually live your life if you weren't flipping, you know, if you weren't from, what you call it, if you don't come from money. So I'm just, I don't know, I'm kind of just sad for her, to be honest. The story, because I feel like nobody got hurt, you know, nobody got physically hurt and stuff. If that's the case, I know she wasted a lot of police time. I know everyone was looking for her. Like, it should just be like, look, let's just, you know, don't do this again. Here's your fine, whatever it may be, and keep it moving. Maybe you go and do counseling. Maybe you do some community service. But I don't like this kind of throwing the book at her, because I got a feeling that there's other things going on there that kind of led this girl to do this whole random thing. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yeah, no, 7 days, exactly. So it's so wrong. Why do you? I don't know why you do that. I don't have an explanation. I just feel bad for her. I can't help not feel bad for her. I see her little face and stuff smiling in the mugshot, and I just see the pain behind those eyes. Do you know what I mean? I see the fucking storm behind those eyes and shit. I'm like, fuck, man. Like, what could have possessed this girl to make up this fucking convoluted story? There is a narrative going around I see on fucking Black Twitter that people are saying, where they're saying that the police only cared about CARLEE Russell because she mentioned that baby that she saw walking on the highway or something. That's what people on Black Twitter are saying. They only really gave a shit about her disappearance because she mentioned that she saw a white baby walking down the street. So they were actually looking for the white baby, not looking for her. Or they're looking for her to find a white baby, which I don't really buy. But anyway, that's Black Twitter for you, innit? They're always trying to spin stuff that way. But fuck, man, CARLEE, man, why do you do this, girl? Why do you do this? Like, they're really throwing the book at her, man. I don't want her to get in. I don't want her to spend any time behind bars. I'm sorry. No one got hurt. I know he wasted people's time. The whole narrative that it's going to distract from women that actually get kids. No, it's not. Now, if you actually are in danger, people are going to always try and help you anyway, even if you're lying. Everyone's always going to give you the benefit of the doubt. So let's just stop with the fucking histrionics and grabbing of the fucking pearls, right? It is what it is. Did I say that right? Grab pearl clutching. Yeah, that's a Brendan Schaub thing. I said grabbing of the pearls. Stop with the pearl clutching, and then everything will be fine. But yeah, I don't know. Oh, she just got, okay, it's just a misdemeanor. Okay, cool. Okay, she just got okay. If she just got misdemeanor, then I apologize. I take it all back. But I had a feeling from the press conference that she was going to get thrown. They were going to throw the book at her in terms of charges. If it's just a misdemeanor, then I got it all completely wrong and she's fine. So whatever. But if she got charged, free my girl CARLEE. I'll personally make some airbrush t-shirts. I'll personally set up a GoFundMe, and then I'll siphon all the money to my own account. And then when people try and ask me questions, I'll then gaslight them and say, you're only asking me questions because I'm black. And then I'll turn that money into a non-profit, that will be advocating for the safety of black people, so that no one could come after me after that, right? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use this tragedy of my own people for my own monetary gain, like everybody else does out there. Hashtag BLM. If you know, you know. Okay? If you know, you know. If you know, you know. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna siphon off that money. You're gonna see YouTube documentaries about me in the thumbnail, like the content creator that ruined reputation. You see me, right? Like siphon off the money. Charity for CARLEE Russell is all going into my account. That would be awesome. Get me some virality, you know what I mean? Get those views up. Yeah, let's go, baby. Go fund me scams. Oh, it would actually work. Oh, anyways, let's move on. Oh, actually, what do you guys think of that? Copyzilla into the chat. Yeah, Copyzilla comes after me. I get, I hit Copyzilla with a restraining order. You know what I mean? Like, that would be sick, man. You know what I mean? Restraining order, Copyzilla, like, hey, back and forth and stuff, right? That'd be sick, bro. People start leaving me hate comments and shit. You black piece of shit. Go back to your country. You should have left you on the boats. Honestly, anyway. Let's breathe. So, moving on from that, what I want to talk about here. That's it. Cool. So, this is courtesy of Yanis Papas and Paul VIRZI. It's called from the We Might Be Drunk podcast, and it features these comedians: Yanis Papas, Paul VIRZI, Sam Morrill, Mark Normand, essentially talking about cancel culture and talking about Shane Gillis. Standard comedic podcast, topics. Right? They've got about 5 or 10 that they run through, and one of them that they all love is fucking cancel culture. So they're talking about cancel culture, and guess whose name pops up? Yeah, that's it. Pedo man himself, Chris D'Elia. And they're talking about him, and essentially they're saying, oh, this guy's still selling loads of tickets, even though he's been accused of all this stuff, and he's got this crazy documentaries out about him. He's still selling loads of tickets. And you can see the kind of amazement and wonder and almost glee in their eyes when they hear that he's been selling tickets and selling out venues and theaters and stuff. It's pretty startling to see, to be honest. But anyway, let's play the clip itself. This is it, episode number 133. I'm going to let it play a bit so you can get some context around what they're saying, and then you'll hear them mention Chris D'Elia, and then I'll give my side of the story on the other end.
At least, yeah.
That should be a sentence. Like, you got up, and the judge should be like, you can't ever be rude to a waitress, a waiter.
Well, Gillis admittedly said, he's like, after I got nicer, I got way nicer after I got canceled.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
He got also a lot more famous as well. So that helped.
But you know what? Shane got famous because he didn't get bitter. I mean, that was one of the beautiful things about Shane, I think, is that, like, that could have happened to him, and he could have become a huge dick. But I think what happened was he was like, I'm just going to go all in on my stuff.
Yep.
And being funny.
And being funny. And he was like nice in his comedy, I thought. I think there was
he got humble, like in a way. Yeah, I talked to him about it, and I was like, dude, look what you did. You're out there doing your thing now, and you're not. He goes, oh, thanks, man.
It was about being silly and funny, and
he didn't get crazy.
There was no malice and bitterness.
Because you get guys that go far the other way, and all of a sudden they're fucking doing podcasts.
I remember I talked to him after it happened. I said, I really hope you don't ever go that way. And he goes, I won't. I said, good.
He's too smart.
Yeah, but
he's funny, he's talented, so
funny guy.
And some guys, they just go, oh, fuck you did this to me. Well, now I'm gonna go in the woods and do a podcast by a fucking bonfire.
Yeah.
And they start and they go, they put their chips in the other way. Real.
I love how they're all afraid to mention. Sorry, I interrupted there. You see how they're all afraid to mention Owen Benjamin's name. If there's 2 names, stand-up comedians on podcasts, or how do you call them? Comedy podcasts, whatever. Comedians hate to mention. Mike Redbar and Owen Benjamin. They're super afraid of saying those 2 names. They don't want to say them because they know if they mention those 2 guys' names, they're going to be talking about them for fucking years. They're going to rip them apart. They're going to push. They're not going to even push the line. They're going to fucking throw the line out the window, right? They're going to go fucking crazy. So they're super scared, super worried to mention Owen Benjamin and Redbar's name. It's fucking hilarious.
real big.
Yeah.
Right.
I got bad news for you. There's already a podcast called The Bonfire, so you're in big trouble.
But here's the thing: you can't ignore the fact that those things do backfire and make people more famous.
What, canceling?
Yeah, I mean, it does put your name.
It depends on the
If you're
scenario.
huge, it takes you down. But if you're a little unknown,
Yeah, but I
it
think your
puts you in
actions
the news.
after. I think your actions after are a big part.
It's
of it.
over.
Yes.
If it's over a joke, it could possibly inflate, your ticket sales. But if it's over something behavioral, you're finished.
Kind of finished. I mean,
I guess it
D'Elia's got like
depends.
2 sold-out shows at the Beacon.
Does he?
Yes.
After the
Who does?
did some-
D'Elia.
D'Elia. I mean,
Oh, really?
he's still doing a sold-out
Wait, did
theater.
something-
Whoa.
Yeah.
I didn't know
Really?
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, his fans don't care. Now, listen, and it sounds like
He sold out
did
4
that.
shows at a middle school too, which
Yeah,
I
he's
thought was a
really-
little weird. But
He's what you call Black Friday shopper. He shows up a little too early to the store. You're like, hey, guy, it's not open yet.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Whoa.
So, but it's just still people.
Well, the Bud Light lady, whatever, Dylan.
So, for me, I got the impression that they were just impressed that he's selling tickets still. That's the weird thing about this whole shebang. And if anything, this is probably the biggest indication that you need, or biggest sort of like example to show you that for the most part, comedians in general don't really have a moral compass. There is no such thing as like principles, ethics, morals, what's right and wrong. Like there is nothing of that. It just is about ticket sales. Like they get to the point of where, like, if it meant choosing between going on a gig that would pay them $1,000 and going to see their mum that's on a on their deathbed, they'd pick the $1,000 over the mum any day of the week. That's essentially how cutthroat they all kind of are. And it kind of makes sense though, because if you hear them all talk about each other, they're all kind of really catty and stab each other behind the back and stuff and talk behind each other's backs and whatnot. So it makes sense why they like that, because clearly from how they speak, selling tickets is pretty difficult. So when someone does sell tickets, regardless of the circumstances around it, it really impresses them because they know how hard it is to sell one ticket to to a fan to come, sell a ticket is one thing, maybe having them come is another thing. All those things really are important. So for them, it's really impressive when people do sell tickets and it kind of blows their mind. But in this case, in particular, with the Chris D'Elia thing, I don't think it's worth it at all to like, hey, you got this notoriety from being known now essentially as an alleged diddler. You got these allegations against you that essentially paint you out to be a pedo. Maybe not technically a pedo, but close enough that it would make the regular person really uncomfortable. I've kind of said this before on the pod, but a normal guy, if like you approach somebody in a aspect of maybe trying to hook up, maybe trying to get into a relationship, or even trying to get a move on somebody, right? And it doesn't go well. A regular dude will feel horrified by it. Like if you go in for the kiss and that person pulls away, you go to touch them and they kind of shiver and stuff. It'd make you feel awful. Just that kind of, what's that thing called? That kind of, subtle kind of rejection. It kind of makes you feel awful to the pit of your stomach. So I can't imagine what it must be like to be a guy and have all these people in the world, have all these documentaries out, have all these allegations about you, essentially causing all this pain and strife to all these young girls. To the point where they're all fucking calling you, a manipulator, an abuser, a narcissist, a sociopath, a diddler, a pedo. Like that kind of thing for the regular person would crush you. Or if anything, if you really think it wasn't true, you would essentially try your best to clear your name. That's what you do. One of the two things will either crush you and make you feel so guilty that it would be hard to really kind of enjoy life because you're hung up on the idea that everyone thinks you're a monster. Or if it wasn't true, you would fight tooth and nail to clear your name because your name is all you have. You're kind of really, you want to be able to walk down the street with your head held up high. For some reason, these guys don't have that ability to kind of think that way. They think all attention is good attention. So for Chris D'Elia to be accused of what he's got accused of, have all these documentaries out there about him, have all these allegations out there about him, have all these people in the industry say they always knew but didn't say anything, all these kind of crazy shits, right? It's just good that he's got attention and he's got a committed fan base that wants to kind of see him perform and do his thing. That's kind of where their mind goes to it. Like, oh, we should live in a society where, that is okay thing to do. Like you should be okay, like not even a society, as a person you should be okay to, because I think, maybe society shouldn't get involved in it. Because my kind of idea or POV when it comes to flipping cancel culture is that I don't like institutionalized cancel culture. I don't like when corporations and networks and whatnot come in and try and stop your career. I think that's awful. But I think if individuals decide they don't want to fuck with you, that's their decision. But I don't like it when the systems all kind of, you know, agree with each other that you are out. Like they decide, okay, you don't deserve a platform anymore. That's really fucking crazy. I don't think that's cool in any way, shape, or form. So if Chris Leah's fans don't mind seeing him, I don't really blame the fans. The fans want to see what they want to see. They want to forget what they want to forget about the allegations, just concentrate on his comedy, cool. But I still think if you're a stand-up comedian, you shouldn't look at Chris Leah with any sort of level of admiration, really, or because, you know, he's still able to sell tickets apart from his allegations. What do you want? Would you want your career to be completely halted for a year because all of these girls that are questionably underage, questionably of age or underage, have come out and said, yeah, you're a monster and you treat them horribly when you met them? Would you actually like that? Would you actually like your career to be put on pause for 2 years while everybody accuses you of being, you know, a fucking monster behind the scenes and shit? Is that really worth it so you can sell out tickets at the fucking Beacon? But essentially, that's what they're saying. Yeah, it is. These communities are saying tickets are way more important than your morality, than your principles, and then how you actually feel about yourself, how your family sees you. Because that's another thing people don't talk about often, like how your friends and family sees you. I think Chris even mentioned it one of the pods that people say stuff to him in the street. Chris said this before. Chris said before that people say stuff to him in the street. They say stuff like, I'm sure he goes into some shots, girls give him a dirty look. So, like, imagine what that life is like. But you sell tickets though, so that's okay. That makes it completely okay. Having that inner hell that you're going through day to day, knowing this pain that you've caused people and shit, that's completely okay. But when you go out in fucking, you know, in the big wide world and everyone's looking at you like you're some pariah, and also let's just put this other thing. These guys are all sitting here wanking over the fact that, oh no, coming in their heads at the thought of selling at the Beacon and thinking, oh, Chris did it and he's still cancelled, right? But all these comedians, what's the one thing they talk about that they kind of love? What's the one thing they talk about they love? They love the hang. What they're doing right here, they love the hang. They love being in a green room. They love being in a car park, so these comedy clubs and shooting and shit. Chris Leah can't do that. Because all these guys, as much as they talk about cancel culture and being against cancel culture, if you actually was against cancel culture and was anti it, you would invite Chris onto your podcast. You would have him on there and shoot the shit. But they want to keep their sponsors. They want to keep their channels monetized. All this stuff they want to keep. But then they'll talk a big game about being anti this, anti that. No, you're not really. No, you are not really. Because if you were, you would kind of show it with your fucking actions. Lou Darva says watching. No, not at the moment, bro. I'm just gonna run through the random shot now. I'm not really too Lou. Yeah, I'm not really too. What's that thing called? Clued up on the boxing side of things, so you won't get a very entertaining show from me, I'm afraid. I know what to look at when I'm watching, but I'm not going to provide anything interesting in terms of a stream. So if you want better coverage of that, I probably recommend watching somebody else that's able to give you a much better show. You know, I actually can recommend you to go watch, Lou. Go and watch the Thick Boy Fight Companion, right? The Calabasas Fight Companion. Go watch that. If you want to see great coverage of boxing, go watch it. Go to the Thick Boy Fight Companion and you'll see great coverage of that live stream. Anyway, you see them break it down really well on there. Anyway, all that to say, they're amazed by his fucking ability to sell tickets, but they would never want to be seen on camera with him, not even in private, right? They're not inviting him on his shows. They're not going on his pod. They're not inviting him on their pod. So really, this is all just waff. They just like the money and like the aspects of selling out venues. That's basically it. But again, if you needed any example as to why you should only listen to comedy podcasts for the shits and giggles, and because you like the comedians, cool. But don't ever listen to these guys for life lessons. Please, for the love of God. Like, these guys are, their fucking moral compass is just completely, I don't know, it doesn't exist really, to be honest. It doesn't exist because some of these guys have daughters and shit. You're like, hold on, like, don't you guys have a line? Like, don't you guys have like a thing that you just can't stand? Like, one thing, I don't know. Maybe it's like cheats, maybe it's scammers, maybe it's crooks, maybe it's thieves, maybe it's pedos, rapists. There must be something that someone does, you're like, you know what, I'm done. But these guys, there's nothing. There's literally nothing another person can do in their field that would ever make them say, you know what, nah, that was fuck. Like, it's just Do you know what I mean? Like, they just live in a weird parallel universe where as long as they sell tickets, it's all that matters. They're good guys that sell tickets. Yeah, he's selling tickets, man. Killed a bunch of people, but he's selling tickets. It's like, what? Anyway, what can you do? What can you do? So, moving on from that, we have this. Courtesy of the Fire and the Kids subreddit, right? I'm still a bit... I'm still a bit miffed by this because I guess, yeah, I'm still a bit confused by this personally. I'm really confused because I guess with Brendan, there was a time where he was meant to play in Albany, and for some reason now it's been cancelled. The gig was there listed, but all of a sudden now it's completely gone from the website. And I'm really confused because I can't figure out why comedy clubs book the way they do. Like, and I would like to really get to the bottom of the business behind comedy clubs, because something doesn't make sense here for me. It all just doesn't make any sense, because he had a gig listed at these places and now all of a sudden they're all completely gone. So this is courtesy of Fanikin Subreddit. As you can see, Papa's officially cancelled his one nighter in Albany. And if I just, sorry, let me quickly remove the chat here. You'll see that, you know, he was listed on there prior, but now the entire weekend he's not on there. So those are dates he was meant to be doing. Friday the 8th, right? Sorry, Friday the 4th, sorry, of August. And now if you go back on there, his gigs on the 4th are gone, right? So they're completely gone. So I want to know, what is the kind of business of stand-up comedy shows? Because I know for me in the DJ world, for the most part, a lot of people that get booked usually get booked based on their ability to sell tickets. Some of it might be because they're really good at what they do, they've got really good tunes out that people like, but usually it comes down to probably those two I mentioned, and also your ability to move tickets. So even if you're not good technically on a night, you're kitted out of your mind, you're drunk on the fucking decks, you're clanging all over the place, but you sold out the venue, or you nearly sold it out, or you sold a bunch of tickets, more likely than not, you get invited back because they know you can attract a crowd. That's what kind of promoters or venue owners look for. So I thought that was the same thing in comedy world. Like, your ability to sell tickets would really impact your ability to keep booking shows in places, because they know if they put you down for a weekend, you can sell more than half. So why is it with Brendan, he consistently gets shows, but then consistently keeps cancelling, but then consistently gets shows? Like, what's going on here? Is it true what fucking, what's his face, what Unique is saying? Because Unique's theory, which I can't believe this is, I don't think this is true, because Brendan's way too, he's been in the scene too long, you know, like, but Unique's theory is that Brendan is booking these shows himself. That's Unique's theory. Unique thing, Brendan's booking, like, he goes out and he hires these venues to do shows and to make himself look like a legit comic, but they're not actually hiring him to play at their place. He's hiring the venue. And then if he doesn't sell, but he doesn't really, you know, he kind of is out of pocket himself, but it doesn't hurt the venue if he doesn't sell, kind of thing. They just scrap the show and get somebody else in to make it worth their while. But I don't think that's true. So if I don't think that's true, and I kind of agree with my kind of point of view, like, why is it comedy shows just keep booking him when he doesn't sell tickets? What we were saying here, he wants to look active. Oh, you think that's it, Cloud Kid? That's actually a good resolution. He wants to look active and then he just cancels. That would be crazy, innit? He just does it so he can have that end of the show thing where he goes, okay, see me out here, see me there. So he books shows just so he can have something to talk about, to plug at the end of the show. Fucking hell, man. The need to, like, honestly, I'm so thankful I don't have that thing in me of always wanting to always caring about how I'm perceived, like, kind of thing, you know, like wanting to make sure people know that I'm successful and stuff. I'm glad I'm not that person, because if I was, what a hell to be in, where you're booking shows so you look busy, but then you know full well you're going to cancel them. Uche is saying he books just in hopes that they'll sell. When they don't, he bows out. Yeah, exactly what Cloud K2 said. That's fucking sad, man. That is so sad. Imagine being that person. Instead of actually just focusing on your work, focusing on your craft, you're more worried about your perception, and you go out and book shows hoping they sell. If they sell, they do. If they don't, they don't. You know what it kind of reminds me of? in retail, there's a thing, I forgot what the name of it, there's a term in retail. Imagine if, maybe you guys know in the chat, in retail, if you've got like a brand, if you've got a clothing brand and the store doesn't buy it from you, there's an option where you can essentially have it hung up in the store. And wherever they sell, but there's no incentive for the shop to put it in a good place. You can just have it in the store. It's called something. There's a term for it. I forgot what it's called. Where if you got your own brand, but they don't buy it from you as a wholesaler, but you go and say, you basically say, hey, I've got this t-shirt brand, can you now have it in your store? They don't buy it off you, but if they sell it, they sell it. If they don't, they don't, kind of thing. But they don't have any incentive to. But anyway, it kind of feels a little bit like that. That's kind of what he's doing. I don't know what the term is in retail, but there's a term for it. On return, that's it. Thank you, 730. Fucking legend. On return. That's it. On return. That's a term in retail where essentially if you got your own brand and a brand doesn't pick it up, but you want to get it in stores and you want to see in certain retail locations, you can have them basically, you know, have on sale on return essentially. So if they sell it, they sell it. If they don't, they give it back to you. But the problem for a brand owner is that the fucking retailer is in no incentive to push your product. So they're not going to put it on the mannequin. They're not going to put it on the rails as you come into the door or anything like that. It's usually going to be back in the fucking, you know, in the back somewhere where no one kind of cares about it. So all those things kind of damage that in that regard. So Brendan's kind of doing the same thing with comedy. It's sort of like a sale and return career, essentially. He's just booking the shows. Then if they sell, they sell. It's a beauty. But if they don't, he could just cancel and bow out and never explain himself because, you know, why would you explain yourself? It's a strange way to go about your career, honestly. I don't really understand it, man. Really don't get it. We've got a few more here. This one's courtesy of Pride Kids. I've read it again. It says, well, Papa won't have it to remember Liberty Township, Ohio's name, or Columbus for that matter. Cancelled. Again, this is only funny because it's him, because he's made such a big deal out of being, or out of kind of acting like he's a big deal and laughing at others who don't sell tickets, and then him himself can't sell tickets to save his life. Like, it's pretty embarrassing how this happens, the cancellation rate. But I wonder if this is going to end up biting him in the bum sooner rather than later. Just keep booking these tickets and booking these gigs, cancelling. I wonder if it'll eventually catch up with him, or if this is something all comedians do. I have a theory it's probably the latter. I don't think Brendan is, I don't think he's as malicious as people paying him out to be. I think some of it is just him copying whatever everyone else does. But because he's way more unlikable, it comes across worse. But I think probably, most likely, most comedians do this. They do this fucking weird hustle where they want to just book a show and then cancel it if it doesn't sell. Knowing full well it's not going to sell, just so they can look busy, which is fucking sad in my opinion. It's the most pathetic, sad thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But again, when it comes to this stuff, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a small guy with a small channel talking out to us. Cloud K20 said, booking shows probably bolsters whatever advertising dollars he has left coming in for the pod, keep him relevant. Yeah, true. I think that's true as well, Cloud K20. I think there's such a dirty game in podcasting and content creation overall. After what BGL said about how they do ads, essentially BGL was like, oh, they basically have ads specced out for like 3 months in advance or something. So essentially, it kind of gives the onus of the podcast person to scam, because if you get a podcast sponsorship, marketing, whatever deal for 3 months, it's basically based on the 3 months ago, you know, numbers. So if your views dip in between that, it doesn't matter. You still get the fucking money, or however long the contract is. And then you could also, if you want to, towards the end, kind of, you know, pump out, you know, because I think some people on the Frankie Reddit were seeing these patterns, like whenever the contracts were running out, suddenly Brendan started buying views again on TFATK, or allegedly that was happening. So maybe that's what it kind of does. It kind of creates this weird environment, this economy where everyone's kind of incentivized to kind of fake it till you make it, to scam. It's really bizarre. So in one way, you can't really blame people like Brendan too much for doing what he's doing. I think the system is set up the way like it is to kind of do that. Like, you know, like advertising maybe is based on the amount of traction you've got online, the amount of shows you booked. All this stuff is probably gets into it, their decision making process, which is fucking bizarre. But hey, what do I know? What we saying, chat? Booking shows probably the ball. Game Bread Footballer says for his birthday he should chip in and buy him a new personality. Lols. Crash says, do you think he ever performs at the Comedy Store again? Not even become a paid regular? Like, do you think he ever gets on the bill? Nah. Who said it? Was it Uche said it or somebody else? I think it might have been Uche who said it. that the person in charge now at the Comedy Store is like a woman, and she's kind of progressive or something. Who said this to me? Or maybe it was Martha. Somebody said it to me, that the person who's in charge of the Comedy Store is like a woman or somebody super progressive, super left leaning, and they legitimately don't like BRYAN, CALLEN, and Chris Lee, all those kind of guys. You know what I mean? So they came in with the exact fucking determination of getting those people out. I'm pretty sure someone said it, because Joe Rogan took the former guy from the Comedy Store over to fucking his store, innit? The Comedy Mothership. So I'm pretty sure the person in there now that's probably why they don't get invited back on there to do shows and stuff. So not happening with Brendan, no way, shape or form. Yeah, I think it was Martha. Yeah, it must have been. Yeah, I think it was Martha that said it. So the person that is doing the show's booking there, the new Adam Eager, for instance, at the Comedy Store, doesn't fuck with basically Joe Rogan's guys as much, which makes sense, because if you go to a Comedy Store, last time I checked their Instagram, there was a bunch of people there who I don't recognize. So I think the Comedy Store people clearly wanted to kind of took the opportunity that Rogan was leaving to just refresh the whole store, because it started to get a bit stale. Maybe during the pandemic, people left and moved and stuff. They just went to refresh it. So they did it. And clearly, you know, Chappelle getting passed is a good example of the new direction they're kind of going in. Because I feel like if Joe Rogan was around and LA still, I don't think the Chappelles of this world would have got passed. You know what I mean? It still would have been the boys club that they had going on there. So this person clearly has a new direction. So it's good to see. It's good to see, to be fair. I'm not going to lie. Another person here said, Bala says here, if he's hiring venues and then cancelling, he would still have to pay for the venue. Just seems like a lot of money doesn't have to be wasted. But that's a thing, Bala. That's a thing, Bala. Brendan's whole life is like that. Like this idea of just spending money like it never runs out. Like, again, I don't like to pocket watch. I really don't. But I, for one, just can't understand how he affords everything. Because his outgoings, like if you just think about it for just a second, Brendan Schaub's outgoings must be silly. Like his monthly bill must be crazy. When you think about the rent for the new studio, all the stuff that to do with that, the bills associated with that, however much he pays for his mansion, the cars he leases, the kids go to private school, he's got a stay-at-home wife, mum, like, you know, and she's got very expensive taste. She doesn't like wearing Coach bags, right? She's into fucking Birkins and Tom Ford and Gucci, Hermes sandals and shit. And then his own expensive taste in stuff. That's a lot of outgoings a month. Like, can you just imagine what that outgoing bill is a month? So if that is what it is, just imagine all the stuff he has going on. Does it really sound like he can cover everything with the stuff he has going on? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe there's enough sponsorships and views coming in. I don't really know, but that's a hell of a lot of money, bro. A hell of a lot of money. Like, that goes out every single month. So, I don't know. Exactly. She doesn't drink water, Coil. Exactly. She doesn't drink water. Like, this lady is like on another planet. Like, doesn't drink water, is dripped head to toe in Balenciaga and Gucci and Tom Ford, stay-at-home mom, doesn't have a job. So, it's literally only one salary coming into that family. Maybe, you know, maybe more. But I don't know how he affords everything. I really don't. I admire the hustle and stuff in the part of me, but I don't know how he affords anything. The only way that makes sense is if his dad pays for everything in the background silently. But again, you know, he's never going to admit that, because that'd make you look horrendous, especially having consideration how much he takes the piss out of Brendan for being a rich kid. But that's the only way it makes sense to me, how he can afford everything. Or the only other solution, the only other answer to that will be this. Maybe we underestimate just how much money successful podcasts make. We actually underestimate that. That's the thing. Probably, I'm probably guilty of that myself, because I remember when Rogan was debating about going to Spotify, the numbers that were getting thrown out there was like 30 million or something, 50 million he was making when he wasn't on Spotify every year. That's somebody I remember saying. I don't know if that's true, but I remember that was a figure that was getting thrown out there, that he was making every year when he was just doing his podcast, not on Spotify, on YouTube, on all the podcasting platforms by himself with no other person involved. He was making somewhere in the region of like 30 million a year. If that's true, that's a good example of like how much money there is in this shit if you're successful and stuff. So maybe Brendan actually is making a lot of money. It doesn't look like it, but maybe he is. So that maybe is how he's covering it. But, you know, the tours are drying up. Like, if you even look at the dates here, the tours are drying up in terms of the dates. he's not having as many dates as he used to have, right? They all kind of like July, he's only got one day. July, this date already, he's only one here. August, there's 1, 2, 3. September, there's 1, 2, 3, not including Skankfest. And in November, there's 1, right? So the gigs aren't as plentiful as they once were. So how the hell, and the views of the podcast are, you know, minimum maybe 50,000 under. Like, how is he fucking keeping the lights on? Like, that's what I want to know. Again, not pocket watching, not my business, but I'm fucking fascinated. Really, really am fascinated. Uche, he was making a killing back in the day when Cats was hitting 600k views, but now he's better. Exactly. Now he's better. Not even 100. I don't even think I can't think of a recent pod I saw, TFATK, where they hit 100,000. I think it's mostly around the 50 to 60k. What we're saying, wouldn't surprise me if he's in debt to his eyeballs using his business to take loans and write off expenses. Yeah, true. But that again, that's just a weird way to do business. I just don't know why he moved studios personally. I know maybe there was a reason behind it, because he wanted to show off, because he wanted to kind of prove to the doubters that he didn't get fired and he wasn't down bad after Showtime. But I really don't know why he decided to, you know, I don't know why he decided to kind of leave that smaller studio for the bigger one, because there really wasn't a real plan in place to kind of keep that big place. There wasn't really a plan, like the shows and stuff. It wasn't really laid out well. Like everything was a bit, you know. Natasha, you say Tim Dillon, when he first started patronizing years ago, was making 75k a month. Yeah, true. Everything's kind of gone down a bit, don't get me wrong, but I think Tim as well, he's very lean, his operation. He's not a lean guy, clearly, but his operation is very lean. It's just him, you know. Yo, big up Sting.
Just joining. What's up, you Redax?
Hey, big up. Hold on. Let me play that one more time. Sorry, my friend. It didn't show up on the screen. For some reason, it didn't say. Let me just make that a bit bigger there. There we go. One more time. Big up Sting. Appreciate you, brother. It didn't play the fucking TTS, but hey, it's there. Thank you, Singagu. Just joining. What's up, you Redax? Yes, big up. Thank you for joining, my friend. Appreciate ya. But yeah, who knows? Who fucking knows? So yeah, maybe I've got this all wrong, and the guy is absolutely raking it in, and we're all underestimating that. Even though, you know, because I think what people also underestimate is that once you get caught into like because I think some of us are like former TFATK fans. I know I am. And some of us can just stop listening to stuff and just, you know, we can abandon it and just like move on. But I think some people don't really listen to many things. So if you have one thing that occupies your weekly listening amount of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to kind of break away from it. So I think there's a lot of fans that still listen to TFATK clearly. That would make it worthwhile enough to continue doing the show. That will make it also appealing to advertisers and sponsors. So I still think there is a big portion of those people who just keep listening just out of habit. And that's what's basically keeping the lights on. Yes, big up Reagan, appreciate you.
Bruv, why you do a podcast same night as UFC? I stay watching Naruto.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Reagan. I know. I was gonna do a flipping watch along for the UFC and stuff, but I really can't offer any big insight in this, and I'm not gonna do it well. So I'm just gonna carry on doing my random show. And again, if you want to jump off the list, watch your UFC, do it, no problem. I won't take offense to that in the slightest, my friend. But thank you for the $3, brother. But yeah, I'm not gonna. Do you know what I mean? What can I do with this stuff? The only way I could make that work is if I could actually show it on the screen, but I can't because I'd get fucking, you know, removed out of the fucking, you know, I'd get fucking thrown out of, you know, every fucking platform possible if I showed that on screen. But I don't think I have a good enough grasp on fucking fighting and anything to kind of offer anything, you know, substantial. Anyway, moving on. So let's go and talk about this. Yeah, let's talk about this. So, I don't think it's a stretch to say, hey, big up my guy ZeroDuck30. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for joining. What are you saying? Not surprised if SCHAUB was making 2 to 3 million per year at the top of his game. Now he may be pulling anywhere near about 750k. Not enough to spend like his Benz company, but enough to fake it. Yeah, you know what? You're probably right. I think a few people said this before. Like, and that's what I think people forget. I think one of the benefits of being really successful in the beginning is that, especially at the beginning, because Brendan started podcasting really early, innit? Like compared to everybody else. So you get to ride that success of being early, and then you get to sort of like kind of reap the benefits of being early, being one of the first in, and then you also get to fucking hang around longer because you're one of the first in. You get to kind of like, really squeeze it, right until the end. So a lot of his success now is in part due to because he's just got a listenership from all that time ago that just isn't gonna quit anytime soon. They're already too in deep by now to kind of jump off into another pod. So that makes a lot of sense. But I don't know, man. I just think that maybe it's just me, and I just don't. Maybe I'm because I'm, into fashion and stuff, and I like art, and I like kind of, maybe imagery, and I've got that fucking eye to see stuff and whatever. But I think just as a person, I just don't think it makes sense to me in my head, if I was Brendan at his level, to live like that. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why does he live like an American footballer? Like, I don't get it. You're a stand-up comedian that's not that good, right? If you see Dave Chappelle riding down the street in a red Ferrari, that would make more sense. But why is Brendan driving one? You know what I mean? Like, why is he living in this big, like, why? It doesn't make any sense. I'd want to have, like, my lifestyle kind of match my level of my kind of success or whatever, lack of thereof. You know what I mean? That's the only thing that is a bit strange, because that kind of shows you it's about an image thing mostly, as opposed to being good at what you do, because it doesn't make any sense why somebody like that would have like a Lambo. Like, why? Why would you do that to yourself? It just doesn't make any sense, because now you have to keep up, like trying to keep that lifestyle going, basically, when you could really just, live with your means. Then when you get to Lambo level, you buy the Lambo. But I just don't understand why somebody that has two of the worst specials in the history of fucking comedy specials, has a podcast that, not a lot of people like, has such that unlikable personality, doesn't get booked that much, is driving around in a Ferrari. It just makes weird sense to me. But who knows? Yeah, exactly. Do one under. Fake it till you peg it. And word to BGL. Word to fucking BGL. Fake it till you peg it. Big up my guy BGL. Anyway, moving on. So it's no. I wouldn't be rude, or I wouldn't be remiss if I said that sometimes I get the feeling that Luis J. Gomez is a bit conflicted. That's the way I get the feeling that Luis J. Gomez is a bit conflicted. He's a very conflicted individual. Yo, big up Eric C. Appreciate you.
Will you be surprised when Aston Villa finishes above United this season?
No. That's not happening. As much as they are, no, that's what happened. I doubt it. Very, very doubtful. I think they'll end up imploding again, like they did last time. I think they bought pretty well this summer again, but I think they won't. No, I don't think so. I doubt it, man. I doubt it. I have more faith. I have more belief that maybe Chelsea will finish ahead of us than Aston Villa. Yeah, I think Chelsea probably have more chance to finish ahead of us than Aston Villa. I think Aston Villa will have what it takes to hold on in the business end of the season. Not happening. But anyway, what was I going to say about Luis? It's a big OC. I appreciate you for the super chat, brother. I feel like Luis J. Gomez is a bit conflicted in that he clearly is somebody who, despite all of his kind of flirtations with the homeless cats and the sticking it to Brendan, I've always got the feeling that Luis J. Gomez actually does want to be a part of that crew. He wants to be in the kind of cool guys club, but because they don't like him for whatever reason, he then has to adopt this kind of persona where he doesn't care about LA, doesn't care about money, doesn't care about Netflix, wants to be the most, obscene comedian and say risque stuff and cancel culture. Like, he wants to be that kind of guy because that's the only choice he has, because the other guys don't want him in his crew. And I think a really good example of that, as Brandon is saying here, is that for some reason, I don't know why it is, but Rogan just doesn't fancy the guy. And I think the good thing about Rogan not fancying him is that it's clearly a thing that Rogan is kind of like observed from afar, because Rogan's had him on his show. He's had him on his show as part of a Skankfest thing, where him and the rest of the Skankfest guys went on Rogan. He's had him on the show solo. And Rogan has clearly taken a look at him and said, you know what? Of the three of you guys, I don't like you in particular, Louis J. Gomez. And he clearly has made an effort to stay as far away from that guy as possible. He invites Dave Smith on the podcast. He invites, what's his name? Big J. Okerson on there, right? All the time. But he's never really re-invited Louis J. Gomez. And clearly, I think that is an indication of how he is viewed in the industry in general. I don't know why it is the case. I don't really give a fuck, really. It's probably comedian nonsense, backstabby stuff that's going on there. But clearly, these comedians don't really fuck with Louis J. Gomez. And that's why he has to kind of adopt this anti-LA thing. And obviously, the natural place to go to that to kind of play to the audience and kind of get some easy, cheap laughs and good bit of engagement is to kind of go and ingratiate yourself with the Fire and the Kid subreddit and kind of stick the boot into Brendan. But I don't think he really has a problem because he wants, obviously, I think because he sees Brendan as a Joe Rogan's friend still, and he would love to get Joe Rogan's approval. So he's always kind of had the kiddie gloves on Brendan, and also kind of played both. He's kind of played both sides of Brendan. He's been the guy that's sticking it to him, and also been the guy that's kind of making excuses for him and shit. And clearly, from before, Louis J. Gomez came out and essentially tried to distance himself from the Fire and the Kid guys, tries to distance himself from like the things that he said about Brendan in the past, and obviously the Fire and the Kid subreddit guys tore him apart. They tore him to pieces. So he then went on his show Rap and decided to start copping pleas, and started to try to explain himself and why he basically was trying to walk back all his previous comments about Brendan in an effort to kind of, you know, be his fucking friend again because he invited him to fucking Skankfest. Really and truly kind of show. Again, I don't really give a fuck. Like, these guys, you know, they're my friends. I'm not impressed by what they do in the slightest. I don't think what they do is like the, you know, because I think a lot of these guys have this idea in their head that they have like the best job in the world. It's like, not everybody wants to be a stand-up comedian. Some people just like laughing at your jokes. Some people like laughing at you because you say dumb things. Some people like hate watching you. Like, these guys legitimately think that everybody on earth would love to be a stand-up and chat shit on stage and, I don't know, drink fucking liquid death and look the way they do. Like, not really. I'm not impressed in the slightest. So I don't care, right, what he does. But I find it fucking hilarious how this subreddit got him so shook that he had to walk it all back and say, look, guys, I'm one of you guys. I'm one of you guys. I promise, I promise. So I'll play the whole clip and I'll say my side in the end.
I think Twitter's for is arguing.
Yeah, you're just fucking, you're there to argue. So I start arguing with people, and then people know on a flight that they start to bait me. So then I start to have but it's the same guys every time. So we go back and forth and we start arguing.
Oh, you have regulars that you argue with?
Yeah, of course.
Sparring partners,
of course. But now, see, this has all turned into, this whole thing has now spawned into the homeless cats, the Fighter and the Kid subreddit. They're fucking furious at me. One of the guys that trolled me had Luke Thomas as his profile picture, right? And Luke Thomas is an MMA journalist. He's an MMA journalist.
Yeah.
And the guy said something to me at one point. He was like, dude, you're fucking like Brendan Schaub. And when somebody says that to me, I'm like, you're just showing your ass. It reminds me of back in the day when somebody would be like, you're fucking Opie. You're like, dude, like, how are you not more embarrassed if that is like
your frame of reference?
That's your thing. Like, that's you. You have a picture of Luke Thomas as your profile picture.
What's the Luke Thomas thing?
Because he had a beef with Brendan Schaub, so they called him the CEO of PF Chang's or you know, the top chief homeless cat or whatever else it is. So I was like, and so I made the point. I was like, dude, you're a fucking loser. You're using another man's profile picture as your thing. I was like, just because your entire life is a Fighter and the Kid subreddit, right? So I tweet that at him. They've picked up on it now, and they're fucking not happy. They think that I'm attacking them. I'm not attacking. Let me make something very clear, because they're going to see this. This will be up in an hour. Ready? I'm not. I don't care about you at all. I love the fight. I lurk the Fighter and the Kid subreddit. I think it's kind of funny. Yeah. However, if your entire identity is that subreddit, you're a fucking loser, and you should actually eat a bullet. That is crazy. If you are making your profile picture other men because they made fun of Brendan Schaub, you are bottom of the fucking barrel as it gets. That is way more of a fucking loser than Brendan Schaub, right?
A bit rich coming from a guy that's got a fucking, was it a platform called Gas Digital? Right? This guy legitimately thinks he's in any business to call anybody losers or lame when you've got a network called Gas Digital. Are you kidding me? Are you for real? Gas Digital. He thinks he's making his own fucking Netflix with his fucking shit, right? With this fucking creature next to him doing a show, him, his other friends. Like, who the fuck listens to this shit? Gas Digital is like, come. Anyway, I'll let it play. Let it play.
No comedians think Brendan Schaub's funny. It's boring to say that at this point. Why do we need to fucking say, like, that's the thing. Like, I can't just hate on a fucking comedian because there's a subreddit that hates him so fucking much. And if you don't trash this guy, now they fucking hate you too. That is fucking whack. That's just
No. He's misrepresenting the subreddit and everybody in general. From I've been a part of that subreddit for a very long time. And I can say with honesty, a lot of the disdain that comes from that subreddit for comedians overall is that for the longest time, that subreddit, even before I even got on the fucking, before my eyes were opened, they were saying this guy is a fucking POS, right? When it comes to Brendan, they were calling him out from ages ago. They were calling out fucking Joe Rogan before it was cool. They were saying all of that stuff, right? And the thing that was annoying people on that subreddit was that it wasn't just the fact that he was a rubbish comedian. No, that they always say that. They always kind of do that as the excuse. Or because he's bad at comedy. No, it's because he's a demonstrably terrible person. And clearly has been given everything on a silver platter and still fucking fumbled it, but then acts like he fucking did it all by himself and not because of his famous and rich friends. That's the fucking thing that really gets everybody annoyed. Like, they just can't understand why these comedians wouldn't want to call out the fact that this person is clearly a horrible person, clearly has kind of jumped the fucking line in terms of how you meant to do comedy the quote-unquote right way, got given opportunities that probably they didn't deserve, then got the opportunities and fucking fumbled them, then acted like they were better than everybody, and done all manner of things under the sun. Just think about this one, to be honest, right? There are some people out there in the world who exist, right? Regular people in this world who exist, who if they hear about somebody, like friends, like I know people, specifically these kind of people, right? I know people specifically who don't play when it comes to their boyfriend, husband, wives, or girlfriends. They don't play with their partners. They don't play around. So if you make a joke about their partner, if you suggest something, whatever it may be, it could be a fight in your hands. You could legitimately start scrapping your friend. Like, they don't fuck around when it comes to that sort of stuff. And those same people are the same ones who won't allow their friend to cheat in front of them. Like, if their friend, they're going out somewhere in a strip club and they're trying to get a bit messy, they're going to have an issue. They're going to pull you to one side. They're going to leave. They're going to be pissed off. There's those kind of guys that exist. If those guys exist and they heard that Brendan Schaub was the type of person that would allegedly, right, fucking slide into Kalila's DMs when she was going out with Bobby Lee in an effort to fuck, don't they have the right to kind of think, oh, he's a piece of shit? Outside of the fucking comedy, just in terms of how they live their lives and what they think is right or wrong, just hearing that one story about him trying to slide in Kalila's DMs, wouldn't that be enough to them to think, you know what, I don't like this guy? That should be enough to regular people, right? Cool. But for some reason, these comedians think there is the only thing that people fucking don't like about Brendan is the fact that he's not funny. Nah, most of you guys aren't funny. But that guy is like, I don't know how to describe it. He just, for some reason, he just has the ability to be so fucking unlikable as a human because of the human things that he does. The lack of fucking, the lack of, owning up to mistakes or willing to fucking being called out, or the thin skin shit, the suing of Unique, the cheating stuff, the alleged, maybe the stealing of jokes if you believe that kind of thing, the not paying artists type of thing. There was a guy on there that did that. Remember the subreddit? He posted something about being scammed, the copying of fucking artwork I've mentioned before, the cancelling of the shows last, like, again, we make a joke about the UK tour and stuff, but my guy cancelled that shit with like 2 weeks notice, didn't give his fans any heads up or anything. All these things should be enough to make people think, you know what, I don't like you. But for some reason with these guys, it's not enough.
As whack as it comes. And I think they got the Legion of Skanks subreddit banned.
Oh, no.
It was banned this morning. I know, I'm on Reddit. I have the app, and I will post as well. I post on all the subreddits. No, I post under Puerto Rican Rattlesnake or PR Rattlesnake or the PR Rattlesnake or whatever else it is. Yeah, and I think trolling is funny. The guy that was trolling me, we're like literally going back and forth now, being like, "Yeah, dude, that was pretty funny yesterday, right?" But yeah, so now the homeless cats are mad at me. So now I have to spend today taking shots at Brendan Schaub in order to get them back on my side. So guys, at any point, please just fucking throw them out there. Right?
Are you gonna fight him?
This guy's a fucking dork, innit? Most of these guys are so lame, so corny, so dorky in every fucking in every way possible, really. Like, honestly, in every way possible. No one's really bothered if you like Brendan or don't like Brendan. It's just this clear evidence of just wanting to be like liked. Do you know what I mean? You want to be part of the cool club. You really, truly want to be Brendan's friend. But, you know, too much water under the bridge. Way too much bad stuff has happened. You're probably besmirched in Joe Rogan's book. That's why Brendan doesn't really fuck with you that heavy. And that's kind of where you're at now. But he really does want to be a part of that crew. That's basically what's happening here. And he thought he could try to use the Friday Kid subreddit to kind of, you know, get in that way and be friendly with them. Then when it came time to sell tickets and be a little bit controversial and whatever, he booked Brendan for that thing. And now he's trying to be Brendan. I don't know. It's just fucking lame. Just do what you're going to do. But this whole fucking game he's playing is just pathetic, really, to be fair.
At Skank Fest?
I'll beat his fit ass.
Hell yeah, dude.
Are you kidding me, dude? And I'll punch that rapist Chris D'Elia right in his fucking face. Callen, you want to go, bitch? Toe Rogan? I don't think that these people will ever like Brendan Schaub. Brendan Schaub could. I think he literally saved a child's life, and they were like, "Fuck you, dude. You should have let that child die."
Hell yeah.
I think that's a story that happened, if I'm not mistaken.
No, again, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So, the story about the car crash, from what I remember correctly, from what I remember, the issue wasn't more so people. First of all, people don't believe Brendan because he generally lies. Let's just put that out there. But that's what they don't want to say. Brendan lies about literally everything for the most part. I'm not sure what bits are true, what bits are not true. There's a clip I might play later on of him saying that him and fucking Ludacris, he was next to be in line to be the fucking host of Fear Factor, and it was down to him and Ludacris. Like, I don't know, just lies for a fucking living. So the default reaction to most of Brendan's stories is that he's lying. Then after further investigation, it was proven that there was a car crash. Something that event did happen, but people were trying to surmise whether or not Brendan's version of the story was true. And even if you listen to Brendan's version of the story, it's not the best version of it doesn't paint him in a good light. Essentially, he saw the car crash, was driving by on his way to go to dinner with his wife on a date night. They saw what was happening. The wife told him not to stop and just go. He then decides to stop. Essentially pulls the kids out of this burning car, allegedly. But as he's describing the story, he's calling the kids fat and shit, right? He pulls them out of the car, gets them all on the side of the road or whatever, make sure they're okay, and then jumps in his car and leaves before the cops and police come because he doesn't want to give any evidence. He just wants to carry on with his day. It's like, what? Then he goes to this restaurant. Before they go to the restaurant, obviously, because this is a family that fucking is obsessed with social media, they take out their phone and take a picture of themselves in the car before they go in, I think, or whatever, or after the car crash. And he's clearly wearing a sparkling clear fucking white t-shirt. But in the story, when he mentioned it, he was like, "Oh, when I was going there, I had like gas all over my shirt, and like it was, you know, because from the stains and the smoke of the car and stuff." But when he took a selfie of himself in the car, his t-shirt was completely clean. So we don't know what bit of the story has been fucking, you know, sprinkled with some Salt Bay fucking salt and spice on it. But clearly, his version of events doesn't paint him in a good light, one. And number two, probably isn't the entire truth. And then when people did further investigation, the woman that was allegedly on the scene that saw him there and basically corroborated the story was somebody that I think Sean McCorkle said that person was on Facebook and had a mutual friend, Brendan, from back in the day. Bro, that story isn't as black and white as it seems. There's too many holes in the story, and it clearly isn't what he's trying to paint it out to be. But when it did get proven that he was there, at least, everyone gave him the credit. But people are going on as if, oh, if he said kids at a burning car, they won't give him credit for it. Nah, it's just the way that he told the story made him sound like a douche, and also there was a lot of holes in it.
Wasn't there a thing where he like fucking stopped on the side of the road and like there was a car on fire and he like got out and like helped and people were like, "Dude, what a piece of shit."
I don't know the lore, but
Dog, I swear to God, maybe I'm Shannon. Am I missing something from this?
You're correct. He saved the lives of 4 children who had been in a car accident.
That's crazy.
And they were like, "Fuck you, dude!" They hated him for it.
Hell yeah.
There's nothing this guy could do. There's no going back. He needs to.
In all fairness, the driver of the car did veer off the road because they were watching Gringo Poppy. So I call that one a wash.
What do we?
Anyway, you get the point. I don't think this is true. I don't think there's anything that you could not do. Like, everybody's redeemable. Everybody has opportunity to kind of, everyone has opportunity at forgiveness, whatever that thing is, or just to rewrite their narrative. But unfortunately, let's just be honest. Most people don't change. The guy's in his 40s now. He's got 2 kids, another one on the way. He's married and shit. He's settled with his social group. He's settled in his career. For the most part, the incentive to change isn't there because he's been successful in spite of all the, terrible personality traits that he has and the things that he's done to people over the years and whatever it may be. So there's no incentive really to change. So it doesn't make sense to change now just because there's some people on Reddit that don't like how you act, because for the most part, they don't really have a say-so in your success or lack thereof. So this idea that he has, so this idea that the people will never change them isn't true. It's more so because he will never actually change himself, because why would he? Because he doesn't actually think he does anything wrong anyway. That's another thing as well. He doesn't actually see the wrong that he does because, clearly, as you can see from that Bobby Lee interview that he had when he went on Tiger Belly, he still didn't get what was the reason, he still didn't get the part he played in that whole affair. He was still on there fucking telling him to define bullying and shit. Like, all of that stuff was the biggest insight you need to see on his brain and how it works. And it's not a bad thing. Everyone's allowed to be the way they are. But like, to kind of make it seem as if the Friday Kid subreddit guys are the crazy ones and they're the unhinged ones, they're the obsessed ones, is fucking wild. Considering that place only exists because that guy Brendan basically is a douche. Like, if he stopped being a douche, that place wouldn't exist. Simple as that. Like, he's the one that fucking provides non-stop content for that subreddit. They don't go out looking for anything. They're not even malicious. They don't even do like the stuff that fucking other detractor communities of locals do, where they go and start investigating this and getting records of that. They don't do anything. They just sit there, listen to what he says, and clip it. That's all they do. They sit on that subreddit, watch his content, clip it and upload it. That's all they do. They don't go and look for stuff. They're not going to, looking for his bank records. They're not doing anything. They just listen to what he says and calling out the bullshit that he says all the fucking time. That's all it is, really. And that's not even to talk about the funny side of things. That's all. But anyway, what can I do? Yeah, Lucius Gomez is fucking lame, to be fair. I've always got the feeling that he's a little bit corny, a little bit duplicitous and two-faced and shit. And this is a clear example of it, personally. If I was Brendan, actually, to be fair, I'd be very wary of someone like a Lucius Gomez, clearly. I'd be very, very, very wary of him because he spent a very long time insulting him, saying some crazy shit about him. And then suddenly, when he wants to book him for the show, now he's trying to be his best friend. Then when the Reddit, attacks him for being Brendan's best friend, then now he's trying to fucking twerk for the Reddit. Like, this guy's all over the place, man. If I was Brendan, I'd be very, very worried about associating with fucking Luis J. Gomez, man. He's a bit dodgy. Little bit dodgy. But, what do I know? What do I know? Moving on, actually, yeah, this is a big up the Friendly Kids subreddit. This is a good fucking yeah, exactly. It's game bred footballer. He puts it on a plate for the subreddit. Exactly, man. Come on. No one's doing anything for that guy. Self-awareness is under 0. Exactly, Lepotamane, I agree with you. Slimy bitter dog, exactly. Leteski, Lewis is the crab in the bucket of a papa, yeah. Just sometimes I have sympathy for Brendan. I really do, because I think he's very malleable, I think, kind of person. I think he's only doing what everyone else is doing in the scene. And I think that industry is just full of so many fucking snakes. Like, they're all so fucking jealous and envious of each other and comparing ticket sales and Instagram followers and views on YouTube and who got what special, who deserves what, who got on Rogan, who didn't. It's just awful. There's hardly anybody just sitting there just focusing on the actual art or, feeding the fans, making a good show. Like, when's the last time you heard a fucking stand-up comedian talking about putting on a good show? Except, that's what I'm saying, except for Bert. Except for Bert, who do you hear about who speaks about putting on a good, fun show for their fans? They're all worried about fucking tickets, who went on where, impression, views, booking. It's horrible. So it's really no surprise that a guy like Brendan like is the way he is, in a way. He got in there and just kind of copied everybody around him, and that's what everyone else around him does. Do you know what I mean? They talk out both sides of their mouth. They speak about you well in the pod. Then in the green room, they're talking about how you don't sell tickets and shit. Horrendous people, man. Horrendous people, really. Horrendous. Which is why I understand the Matt Rife success is quite sweet, because he just made it in his own little bubble. He doesn't have to fucking, twerk for these guys and be on their podcast and sell tickets. He's just in his own little bubble with his own little crew doing what they do. Even if you don't like the comedy, you have to respect that thing, which I respect a lot. The fact that he's just been able to kind of do it by himself without their fucking help and shit. Anyway, moving on. Let's play this clip. This is courtesy of the Final subreddit. It's called Just a Little Reheat. Brendan Lies a Lot. I love this clip because this is a funny one. It features Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports talking to Tim Dillon and the rest of the crew from that pod he's got with the TikTokers called BFFs. Let's play this. Give me a second. Boom. Let's get him on the screen. Can we get him on there? Let's get rid of the chat. Let's play this.
Just to give Josh, like I was asked, I had a guy who's no longer here, but he's like, hey, will you do Theo Vaughn's podcast? I'm like, sure, I'll do it. Yeah. I showed up to the Theo Vaughn podcast. It just wasn't his podcast. So it came on. I was like, where's Theo? And they're like, well, he's not here. It's like, that's weird. It's his. But it was a totally different podcast. So I didn't care. I was just confused.
Right. No, it's funny because I just thought Brendan Schaub was lying because Brendan lies a lot. So I thought Brendan had just made something up because Brendan's like, oh, yeah, Portnoy on. It's going to be great. I'm like, he knows it's us. He goes, yeah, he's really excited about it. So he's just making things up. So that's all I was talking about on my show is how hilarious because you were like, what the fuck is going on? You're like, why am I talking to these two idiots? But it was fun. It was a good conversation, but you seemed a little pissed.
So if you don't remember, there was an episode of, I think it was Fire and the Kid where Tim Dillon was on with Brendan and they had Dave Portnoy come on as a guest over Skype and he just was pissed from minute one. He just wasn't happy to be there. And now he's obviously explaining that he was sold or he was told at the beginning that it was a Theo show. He gets on and it's Brendan and Tim Dillon. And he didn't know Tim Dillon that well, didn't know Brendan that well, and just annoyed. But the funny thing is, he really never made any effort to be fucking Brendan's friend. And it's funny because I always had the feeling, or I would have assumed that Dave Portnoy and Brendan would have been quite friendly or would have been cool with each other because of the circles they run in. But I have a feeling Dave Portnoy just has never fucked with Brendan in any way, shape or form. He's never really made an effort to kind of go on the Fire and the Kid. They were kind of in the same circles and shit. There's a Theo Vaughn connection there. He's just never really, now he's obviously kind of friendly with Tim Dillon. He's just given me the feeling, I don't know if you guys agree, that he's just probably not the biggest Brendan Schaub fan, which is funny considering, some people would say, Dave Portnoy's personality kind of reminds him a little bit of Brendan, even though I don't think that's true. But you'd think they'd be a lot friendlier than they are. And I think in Brendan's case, I think he would like to be more cool with the Barstool Sports guys, but they're just not there with him. The KFC guys, all those type of people, they're not really close with him as they probably should be, That's the only thing that I feel like is a bit out of order when I see this little post. It's like, damn, this is one of the only people I think in media who I can think of who didn't care that Brendan was friends with Rogan and just didn't like the cut of his jib. Just like, nah, I'm not for that guy. And just kept it moving, Oh, big up Dave Portnoy. What a fucking legend. Lepotamane is saying Dave is also quite rapey. What's the matter with these people? Lols. I don't know about that one, mates. Have you seen his comedy B? He doesn't really like LA people. Oh, is it? Okay. Oh, okay. Tim doesn't really like it. Yeah, true. I think maybe even Dave Portnoy, really isn't an LA person either, isn't he? He doesn't really strike me as an LA person. Even though he's got money and he hangs around with people, I don't think his personality would gel too much for that fakery, right? That, I don't think he would probably be too friendly with that sort of stuff. Let's move on here. We got this clip here called "Let the Old Man Tell His Boring Story." Courtesy of the Final Kid sub. Let's play this again. Bear with me a sec. Let the old man tell his story. What's this?
It's interesting, right?
Well, Chad came to my old house because my
You're one in
ex-
Calabasas?
Yeah, no, the one in Santa Monica. My ex,
the new one.
My ex, no, the one in Santa Monica. My ex swore that she would hear footsteps and saw German shepherds because
The one in Brentwood, the San Vicente kind of area. That one, the first one I went to.
I don't. You've been to my old house, my house in Santa Monica.
The one that your
The
ex-wife
modern
currently
looking
lives
one,
in.
yes.
Oh, we'll just say.
Yeah. So that house. So
That's a new build,
I don't know
though.
if you know the story behind that house.
I know the land. The people died.
Well, the guy.
Come on. Who has friends like this? Come on. Who has friends like this? Come on. Who has friends like this? This, in my opinion, is like, it's like a passive aggressive. Is it passive aggressive, or is it like a? Yeah, it's kind of passive aggressive. Lack of respect for your story or what you're saying. This hyper fixation on the detail that doesn't matter. Like, it's like you telling a story about somebody somebody from work to your friend outside of work. It doesn't matter about what the person looks like. You just want to get the kind of the fucking overall story out. But that person just keeps trying to focus in. Who is it? Was it Daniel, the one I saw you that time after work? Was it Daniel, the one with the... No, it doesn't matter what Daniel is. Just listen to the fucking story, right? Like, this is fucking unhinged behavior. Like, so disrespectful, legitimately. And only fucking cocky rinks would be the one to sit there and take it. Only fucking BRYAN, the cuck CALLEN, would absolutely be okay to take this fucking brutaling, this fucking disrespect in 4K. Because this is really crazy. Like, just shut the fuck up and let me speak one more time, because this is horrendous, man. Look at the amount of time he interrupts him. I'm gonna actually try and count it.
It's interesting, right?
Well, Chad came to my old house because my
You're one in Calabasas?
Yeah, no, the one in Santa Monica. My ex,
the new one.
My ex, no, the one in Santa Monica. My ex swore that she would hear footsteps and saw German shepherds because
The one in Brentwood, the San Vicente kind of area. That one, the first one I went to.
I don't. You've been to my old house, my house in Santa Monica.
The one that your
The
ex-wife
modern
currently
looking
lives
one,
in.
yes.
Oh, we'll just say.
Yeah. So that house. So
That's a new build.
I don't know
though.
if you know the story behind that house.
I know the land. The people died.
Well, the guy who
7 interruptions in a 36-second clip. 7 interruptions about him trying to remember with great detail what house it was in a 36-second clip. 36-second clip, sorry. 36-second, 7 interruptions. 7. Are you insane? Who does this to people? Imagine having a friend like this. Exactly, Stephen Castaneda. No, sorry, Bella. Def Jack Russell. Exactly, Stephen Castaneda. Derail the whole story. If you had a friend like this in real, that's the thing. That's the thing that's again annoying. Like, why doesn't he have just people just tell him, "Hey, can you just chill and let me tell my story?" Like, who has real friends that do this to them? Like, it's in real life that constantly interrupt your stories like this. That hyper focus on deals that don't matter, so that you can just throw you off course, so you can hurry up your fucking story so that they can have their word to say. Who actually does this to their actual friends? Yo, big up Snooker Man for the membership. Appreciate it, brother. Welcome. Who does this to their actual friends? I don't understand this, man. This is bizarre behavior. Like, it doesn't matter like what house it was. Just listen to the fucking story. It doesn't matter if you remember the fucking specific house. Just me telling the story should be enough for you to fucking get a grip of what I'm trying to say here. But the lack of respect that this guy has, man. Like, if he's not talking, it really does not matter. It's fucking wild. And Brian just sits there and takes it. This little fucking 5'2" leprechaun looking ass guy, man. Like, oh yeah, man. It's so annoying. Anyway, let's move on with that one. More evidence again. I love it. These are my clips where I love the best, because it's not that big of a deal, right? That he doesn't remember the specific name of this attraction, this kind of Halloween thing he's talking about for the kids, but it's just a lack of acknowledgement of like, oh shit, my bad, not that, this. He never does that really. He just keeps, he just goes. So this is another clip. It's called from Friday Night Subreddit, Night of the Jack, right? Question mark. So let's watch this clip. Normal people, when they make a mistake like this, they just go, oh yeah, my bad. But listen to what he does. This is fucking so interesting in the mind of Brendan Schaub. I think this is kind of a, not even specific to him. It's probably just a narcissistic trait that people do, right? The lack of kind of owning up to your mistakes. But just hear this out.
Talisman.
Oh, dude, you know the right up here, you know the Jack.
Talisman.
Oh, dude, you know the right up here, you know the Jacks of Night where it's at the Gillette Ranch, the pumpkin Jacks of Night. You definitely need to take your son there. But it's during Halloween. The King's Ranch, it's that giant ranch. They do the Jacks of Night, and they have the dopest like pumpkin patch and this whole Halloween thing. I go there every year. You know, one of my favorite shows is Ghost Adventures with my boy Zach Baggins, right? Yeah. This thing's by far the best thing, I think, in North America. When it comes to Halloween, there's nothing better.
So, did you see that, right? So, he says Jacks of Night many times, right? Jacks of Night, Jacks of Night, Jacks of Night, Jacks of Night. Then, when Chin pulls it up on the screen, clearly the thing is called Night of the, what's it called? Night of the Jack. He sees it on the screen, it's called Night of the Jack. A normal regular person will see that, but, oh shit, no, my bad, that's what it's called. Night of the Jack, not Jack of Nights. But he doesn't even say that, he just steamrolls through his entire thing. This is such a bizarre thing to do. No, it's a very small thing. It's not important. It doesn't really matter. Who cares? I know it's as nitpicky and doesn't really whatever, but representation of just how odd this human is. Such a bizarre thing. Like, I've never seen people that just refuse to admit they're wrong to this level. Because you said Jack of Night, but the thing's called Night of the Jack. It comes up on the screen and you just kind of just steamroll like you didn't see it. One more time.
Talisman.
Oh, dude, you know the right up here, you know the Jacks of Night where it's at the Gillette Ranch, the pumpkin Jacks of Night. You definitely need to take your son there. But it's during Halloween, the King's Ranch, it's that giant ranch. They do the Jacks of Night, and they have the dopest like pumpkin patch and this whole Halloween thing. I go there every year. You know, one of my favorite shows is Ghost Adventures with my boy Zach Baggins, right?
Yo, big up Austin Casey, I appreciate you.
As you don't see it, Bopper is back on Addies.
Oh, you think so? Someone else mentioned it here. Do you think it's Addies? Does Addies make you do that? Where you just like, you have no fucking realization of the things you're saying? How you think it's Addies? I'm curious. What do you think? You think it's Addies? Yeah, he's into. Oh, okay. Everyone's saying yes. Stephen Castaneda's saying yeah. He's interrupting again. Big up, Austin Casey. I appreciate it, brother. So you're right. Okay, everyone's saying the same thing. People saying he's back on Addies because he's interrupting all the time. Oh yeah, that's true. That story that Bryan shared, innit? About him always interrupting and just rambling and saying shit. And Natashki saying no, it's his personality. He's just dumb as bricks. Okay, fair enough. Addies make you confident like Coke does. Okay. Uche says, yeah, you can't finish a thought when you're on that enough amphetamines. Exactly. Addies make you repeat yourself for real. Constant derailment. I might have to order some Addies from the darknet and do a live stream. I swear to God. I think that might have to be a fucking option, you know. I think I might have to order some fucking Addies from the darknet and try and do a live stream and see how that goes. You just go for fucking hours. I might have to do that. I swear to God, like, this random show is brought to you by Addies from username the Pumpkin Turnover, or I don't know, the Pumpkin Turnover. That'd be fucking mad, innit? That'd be flipping crazy. I'll just go through fucking everything, like everything. That'd be super sick. I might have to try that out, maybe. But yeah. Addies, mate. These Addies, man. They must taste like fucking Jolly. Do they even taste nice? Do Addies even taste like M&Ms or something, like Jolly Ranchers or some shit? Or it's just the effect? Because the way these guys pop them, you'd think they taste like fucking Starburst or some shit, man. Do they have like a little bit of like? Can you get like chocolate Addies, mint Addies, strawberry Addies? Like, is that a thing? Can you get flavored Addies? I'll pop a few of them. If you get me some peanut butter Addies, I'm all over those motherfuckers, bro. I'll be knocking those things back. Okay, they taste bitter. Okay, cool. I'll knock those bad boys back. I'll do that. I'll do that on fucking camera, mate. If I get fucking deleted, I get deleted. It is what it is. I'll take on for the. I'll take on for the. I'll take on for the content team. Anyway, Addies make me calm. Rotted, Natashki. It's a bit of an insight there, isn't it? Yeah. Brandon for hours and hours, but no fucking. Okay, cool. No IRS. Addies make me calm. Nutella Addies, yeah. I'm all over the Nutella Addies. You know the vibes, man. You know the vibes. This is one of the best ones for me, Clips, because this is the clear representation that we need, that Lug Thomas, or Lug as Brendan will pronounce it, is clearly being influenced by the non-stop fucking BC fucking CEO of Chang's constant fucking skits and bits is finally starting to bleed through over to fucking Luke Thomas, courtesy of this clip. He can't deny it, because when Brendan said the words that he said, the little smile that comes across a fucking Luke Thomas's face is undeniable. He can't help but not notice the stuff now. So this is Brendan Schaub and Luke Thomas speaking on the Schaub show about MMA and shit, and just look at Luke's face. Look at Luke's face.
I'm not hating any facet. They're two of the very best. We just saw that fight. I just fucking saw Makhachev destroy Charles. I just saw it. And then they run it back, and it's not like
he knew. He heard saw it, as the title said, in every facet. He knows all these little skits and bits. He couldn't help himself, because BC says them all the fucking time. He can't help himself when he saw it. Again, just imagine, right? Imagine pronouncing saw it with an L. Saw it. I've said it before plenty of times. I don't think this is a dyslexia thing. I don't think this is a inflamed tongue thing. I honestly do think that Brendan just knows he says shit wrong, but because he wants to get his thoughts out there, he just blabbers through them and doesn't give a fuck, because he's like, who's going to tell me what? You know what I mean? If someone tells me something, I'll fuck them up, right? Or whatever, I got more money than you, shut the fuck up kind of thing. He's got that kind of, cocky arrogance about him. But I think he knows that he's fucking the words up. He just doesn't give a fuck. That's basically my conclusion. He just rushes through the words, says them how he says them. If you don't like what I said, you don't like what I said. But I'm not going to correct myself. I'm not going to say them correctly, because you know what I'm trying to say. He's one of the type of people where he, like, if he fucks up your name, he's not going to try and pronounce it the way you want it to be pronounced. He's just going to say, look, but you know what I'm trying to say. That kind of person. But you get me. You get me though, right? That kind of vibe. So he just kind of just says it that way. Because this is a crazy way to pronounce saw it. You pronounce it saw lit. Like, what? One more time, because this is fucking wild. How he adds L's and E's onto stuff that don't make any sense. Like when he says milk instead of milk. Why do you pronounce it milk? What? One more time.
I'm not hating any facet. They're two of the very best. We just saw that fight. I just fucking saw Makhachev destroy Charles. I just saw it. And then they run it back, and it's not like
Luke's face. Look, I'm just gonna play it and concentrate on Luke's face, please. Luke's face is the brilliant bit, because he sees it. That face when you know your friend's a dummy is just the best, in it. Like we've all had that face before. Yo, big up FIGG boy. I appreciate you for the $2.
I love sniffing an Addy off a baddie.
Sniff the Addy up the baddie. Sniff the Addy up the baddie. We going over the Addies. Sniff the Addy up the baddie. The baddie sniff up the Addies. Addies going in the baddies. Oh, yo, sniffing an addy off a baddie is just going to be a non-stop talkathon, isn't it? She's going to be talking her fucking face off. You're going to be talking her face off. Nothing's going to get done. You're both going to have incredibly sore fucking chins, or sore chins, as he would say. But big up, Fink, but I appreciate you. But just focus, please, on Luke Thomas's face, please. One more time, last time now.
I'm not hating any facet. They're two of the very best. We just saw that fight. I just fucking saw Makhachev destroy Charles. I just saw it. And then they run it back.
He saw it. He knows. He fucking knows. Luke Thomas knows. He can't deny it. He knows. He sees it. He sees what BC sees. But one thing I like about Luke, to be fair to him, he knows Brendan's a fucking redact, but he's also Brendan's friend. And he's also very loyal, and he's also very... he's just loyal in terms of, like, Brendan basically helped him out to get the job at Showtime, essentially, right? He was kind of one of the big reasons why he got the job there. He kind of lobbied for him and recommended him. And ever since then, Luke has been like, hey, he's good with me. He can never do anything in my book that's ever going to make me not like him, because he helped me out in a time where I was really kind of down, wanting to make a change in my career, wasn't really seeing a way out. And he provided me with that ability to kind of, you know, be more successful, get a way out, provide for my family, blah, blah, blah. So I have major respect for Luke in that respect. I don't, you know, he doesn't need to be a BC. He can do this. And again, this is example of what Luis J. Gomez doesn't do. If you want to be Brennan's friend, be Brennan's friend. But don't try and play two sides of the fucking fence and then be surprised when you get called out for it. Like, you know what I mean? No one's saying you can't be his friend. No one's saying you can't like the guy. But just relax. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to like him, cool. Like him if you want. But, like, come on, man. This playing both sides thing is fucking lame. But, yeah, big up Luke Thomas for trying his best to hold it in, but failing miserably. Big up him. Let's see this one. Let's move on. What's saying here? I want to play a few. Let me play a couple more, and then I've got a bounce. Actually, let me do a couple more, and let me just do this. I want to play this because this to me maybe one of my most favorite clips I've ever seen of this guy ever. And I know I'm gonna hype this up a bit, but it's not. You know, it's probably not as good as I'm probably making it seem as. But let me see, where is it? There we go. It's 41 to 42. So on the front of the kids, 41, 42. Let's go here. Let's scroll across. 41, 42. No, 41, 22. I think, right? Yeah. No, 41, 12. My bad. 41, 12. So. This is amazing because this is taken from The Gold, now episode number 39, featuring Eric Griffin, Chris D'Elia, and Brendan Schaub. And kids' names come up, right? Having kids' names and shit. And, you know, newborn baby, like having kids and what you're going to call your kids. All that shit. Kids' names. Kids' names. If you say kids' names enough, you're going to get the fucking police outside of your door, right? Anyway, cool. Kids' names, yeah? So they're talking about kids' names, and, you know, then the subject turns to like, oh, the names you give your kid, you have to be kind of careful of it because you don't want your kids to get bullied in school. And it's really fascinating because in this little clip you'll see, it never crossed Brendan's brain that naming his kids what he named them would ever get them bullied in school. It never once crossed his name. It's like he just thinks those names are just quite normal. Maybe because he's in a bubble in LA, maybe because he's a genuine redact, but it never crossed his brain to put those two things together. So he's talking in one side of his brain about being careful about what you name your kids without ever contemplating what his kids are called. Like, it's a fucking bizarre clip. And of course, Eric and Chris kind of subtly call him out on it, and he still doesn't really get it. And he kind of, you know, he's kind of like caught in the, like a deer caught in the headlights, a little bit surprised to hear that for the first time. Oh, people think those names are weird. So it's a fucking interesting clip because it kind of goes to show how warped his fucking brain is in terms of the way it kind of perceives things, you know? Like, his stuff is really okay, everyone else's stuff is weird. I don't know, so it's a strange clip. Let me just play it so you can kind of get what I'm coming at, because for me, I found this fascinating.
Yeah,
that nose checked out.
My little, and he was like this in the womb. He was doing like this in the womb.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, oh wow, most emotional I've ever been through the whole process.
Yeah.
Was knowing that I was like, oh wow, you know,
he doesn't have a tail,
or whatever it is.
And you found out that
he doesn't have a tail is his code for saying the kid doesn't have a disability or something. Like, can you, like, not to put that on anybody, but can you imagine? Like, anyway, let's not even go down that route.
The gender too, huh? You did the blood work?
We already do that. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
It's a
dope.
boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We did that here, right? We talked about that here.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh, no?
Actually, it's the first time I'm saying that. Yes.
Well,
you know, so.
having a boy.
Pick a name out yet?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna say.
Yeah. Keep
don't
that. Keep that
don't
shit.
keep it because
Keep
people
that
like.
shit.
I had a friend named Jamie who I don't like.
Yeah,
Just
keep
check
But
that
I will
shit
say
for
this
yourself.
though, like
Chin.
we're keep talking about middle names.
Uh-huh.
So I had this rule with Rachel though that we have with each other. If you say a middle name and you laugh right after, then it's off the table.
Okay.
Because she comes up with some like
Yeah.
Wild shit.
Yeah, some crazy.
That's great, dude.
Like, what about cinnamon roll? Even if she's joking, she'll say some things. She'll be
Yeah.
like, "We like something." She'll be like, "Well, that's and I'll say, whatever cinnamon roll Griffin." Then we just start laughing. It's like, you can't.
You always got to think what the kids are gonna bully him the name for.
Oh well,
that's what I always do.
Yeah.
Like, what are they gonna bully him for?
I mean, they're gonna get bullied anyway, you know.
Yeah,
Not
but
my
if the
kids,
name's
though.
too easy.
Not my kids.
You named your sons.
Yeah. You
Tiger in Boston.
Tiger and Boston.
Yeah. What are you, a place? Dude, I could roast, man.
You could, yeah.
Yeah.
And he could beat
we
you
should
up.
just dress up as little kids and go
Yeah.
like, "Oh, it's Tiger."
Yeah, do it. And my
dad
7-year-old
likes-
can beat up both of them right now. Yeah, that's what I want to have a little.
He puts on one of those red,
Yeah. Your dad likes geography.
You like cereal, bro?
Yeah.
'Cause you're-
I think the world's all set on Joes and Bobs and Bills. Yeah, that's why we did it. And then also, their life's too easy. They need a little adversity.
Yeah.
So they got those weird names. They're either going to be professional athletes or strippers.
The thing about it is, Tiger is one of those names that it's like, it's 50-50. People are either going to be like, "Oh, wow, Tiger."
Yeah.
Or they're going to be like making fun because it's Tiger.
Right.
Yeah, if
So
he's
it's
not
like-
successful, it's gonna be tough.
No,
man.
but you know what?
Anyway, so you get the point of it, right? Don't you find it fucking hilarious that he had no real good, clever comeback for that, call out from Eric? And also, the first thing he kind of went to in defense was like, my kids will beat you up. That's the first defense from a professional comedian, is to just go straight to violence. Kind of, gives you an insight into the guy's brain. But I just love the fact that in his head, he never correlated the idea that Tiger and Boston are pretty odd name for kids. Don't get me wrong. For kids, kind of cute. Maybe over time it will be cool. Same way, how Steve Martin's kid, when they got named Apple, everyone was freaking out. And now suddenly all celebrity names are weird. And everyone's kind of get used to it because now regular people who aren't celebrities name their kids weird names. So it's not that crazy. And if you go to a particular school, maybe there'll be kids with weirder names than that. So it'll kind of level out. But to sit there and say what you're saying about, oh yeah, we were thinking about kids' name, we had to be very careful about this, kind of insinuating that, you took a lot of time and care to make sure your kid's name wasn't weird. But then you have kids that are called, one's that named after an animal and one that's named after a state. The fact that, is it a state, right? Boston, it is, right? If I'm not mistaken, he has no connection to Boston in the slightest. And if I'm not mistaken, this is me going to be throwing out a narrative here. I have a feeling he named his kid Boston after Joe Rogan. It's a city. Sorry, it's a city. Boston's a city. Where is it in? What state is it in? Why can't I remember this? Michigan? Is it Michigan? No? What state is it in? I don't know what state Boston's in. What state is it in? It's in the one where all like they don't really like white people too much, right? So they don't like black people too much. That's the one. Oh, what's the fucking name? They don't like white people too much. What's that state called? Massachusetts. Is it Massachusetts? There we go. Yeah, they don't like, that's the only thing I know about that state. It's not really friendly to the blacks. That's what I heard. If you go to a pub around, because I think there's a lot of Irish immigrants there, right? Which is weird, isn't it? I've never understood that. The Irish got discriminated against, right? But then the Irish are also not really fond of blacks either. Odd. I don't know. I guess we will hate each other. Doesn't matter. So, long story short, I find it funny. I find it funny that most likely he named his fucking kid after Joe Rogan, because Rogan's famously from Boston. So I've got a feeling he named the kid after, because I think his explanation of Boston, the kid's name was that it's what you call it? It's a place that he does really well in terms of business, right? He sells all the tickets there or something. Is that true? Or something like that. But I don't think that's true because he always talks about Texas being his #1 place. He did his comedy special in Texas throughout the Gringo Pappy. So why not name your kid Austin, right? Or something like that. But he didn't. He named it Boston. And I have a feeling he named the kid Boston because of Rogan. So if you name your kid after Rogan and you name your kid after in honor of Rogan, or you name your kid after an animal, you're in no position to kind of pontificate about having kids' names that they might get bullied for. Because those are the two biggest bullying names anyone could ever have. Right? Being named after an animal and being named after in honor of Joe Rogan. Can you imagine that? I'm sure there's some people out there, some podcast. Imagine there's some podcast fans out there. Because there's those fucking redacts that get tattoos of Rogan's face on their body. Right? There must be some people out there who have genuinely named their kids after Rogan. Or after like Joey Diaz. Or Eddie Bravo, right? Or even, like, there must be these guys out there that have named their kids after that guy. I'm sure of it, because there's enough redacts that are willing to take a crazy picture of like Rogan looking all crazy and whatever, maybe with that fucking workout face that he has on their leg. Like, imagine there's probably people out there that are fucking call their kids Rogan or Joseph in honor of fucking him. Can you imagine how redacted that is? Anyway, I don't know. I find this clip fucking hilarious. Like, saying what you're saying and not thinking that is fucking hilarious. Also saying that your kids are gonna beat up people that take the piss out of them is also fucking funny. When you know that you gave them those names in the first place, you put them in harm's way. Effectively, it's fucking obscene. But again, what can you do, man? What can you do? Honestly, I fucking love this. I fucking love this guy. He's the best. He's legitimately one of my favorite things to kind of observe in a human from afar. What are you guys saying in the chat? Papa's kids are getting bullied because of their parents, not their names. Nah. To be fair, maybe they don't. I don't know. Maybe those kids, because the names aren't too bad. I was just surprised. I think he mentioned in the show, TFATK, when he named these kids what he's named them. It's just that he was shocked that people would think they were weird. That's the thing that really I couldn't figure out. I was like, hold on, name your kids what you want to name them, but why are you surprised that regular people might hear your kids' name and think they're weird? Because I don't know a Tiger apart from Tiger Woods. Do you? I don't know a Boston. I've never heard of someone called Boston in my entire life. Again, I'm not in America, but they sound weird to me. It doesn't matter really because they're your kids. Do what you want, but it's the fact that he never ever. It never contemplated in his brain that it could ever be seen as weird is what makes me fucking laugh so much. I'm like, fucking, he lives in in another universe. I know 1,000 Tysons. I'm Welsh. Okay, he's copying Theo's hairstyle now. Yeah, definitely he's doing that. But then he's not confident enough to kind of rock it all the time because he has to have these stuff fucking thick boy hats on all the time to promote and shit. Papa's kids are I think the kids' middle names are Jamaica Plains lols. Neo-technical, hilarious. Yeah, Rogan titles are cringe. Exactly, Brandon. They're horrible. Yeah, exactly. I think Austin would have been a pretty decent name, to be honest. I think, isn't that, yeah, that's Post Malone's name, isn't it? Austin. That's how I remember it from. Oh, fucking hell. Okay, cool. Exactly, Flaz. Yeah, he typically refers to them as T and B. Maybe he knows their silly names. Yeah, I think so, but I think that's also him trying to give them nicknames. I think he's from that generation of people that give themselves nicknames. Like I think there are people in this world who wear every jersey, who don't have a team. They support everything, right? They don't have a team. They're like that actor that was watching football that time. There was this famous actor that was watching a football match and he had like the NFL snapback on. I've never seen somebody wear an NFL snapback. It's just like, that was him just saying, I like football, right? He doesn't support anybody. Weird people like that, right? And there's also guys who give themselves nicknames. So I think him calling his kids T and B is like his way to kind of give his kids a nickname by by force. It's like, it's so awful. Usually your friends give you nicknames, right? Usually, and they're usually quite self-deprecating because you've done something dumb. Like they might call you shits because you shit yourself or something. They don't, you know what I mean? But he's that person that, no, I want to give my kids a cool nickname. So T, B, like, anyway, what can you do? Bless the kids. They did nothing wrong. So, to end, we're going to play Yeah, let's do some chin stuff. Oh yeah, he's got. Oh man, it's gonna bum me out, innit? Cool. Let's do some chin stuff. Fuck it. Let's do some chin stuff. Let's. I haven't watched this. Let's do some chin stuff. Let's do some chin stuff. Let's do some chin stuff. Let's do this. So Chin's got a new vlog. I used my parents' first. Why is he bragging about this? Why is he bragging about this? I used my first vacay in 7 years to take my parents back to Korea. Why is this a point of pride? Why are you happy about this, Chin? You work way too hard to be living a life where you only have one vacation in 7 years. Do you know how obscene that is? Do you know how crazy that is? That he's the most important person at FIGG Boy. Maybe the second most important. I'd say first, personally, because I feel like, you know, Brendan's whatever he is. But let's see, Brendan's still the talent and the host and shit. He's the second most important person in FIGG Boy. Allegedly, according to Brendan, according to him, he has shares in FIGG Boy. He probably doesn't get, like, I'm pretty sure, like, he doesn't get paid enough. Like, he maybe, you know, it's one of those deals where you get a percentage of the earnings. Like, I don't know, whatever. I'm hoping Brendan is going to be that kind of guy where he, despite having bad business other places, he does recognize when some people do help him and does well by him. But usually when people are pieces of shit with business in other places, it affects everybody. It affects everybody. So my gut feeling is that he probably doesn't get paid enough. But if he does get paid enough, or he gets paid more, like over his fucking, you know, what he's worth, whatever, or what his average is, then I'll be happy about that too. That'll give me a lot of joy. But I've got a feeling the way he acts and how he is and stuff, I don't know. You know what I mean? Can you imagine him pulling Brendan to one side, asking for a raise? Can you imagine him saying that he feels like he's overworked? Can you imagine that scenario? I don't know. But I just wouldn't be celebrating the fact that I had my first vacay in 7 years. It wouldn't be a point of, you know, because that would be something that I'd be annoyed about. I'd want to fucking make that something I put into my contract, that I get a certain amount of vacations because, you know, you need to stay inspired. You know, I don't know. I don't know if you guys know a lot of editors, but I know a couple that I worked with before, and every editor I've ever spoken to who done editing, production shit, they fucking hate it, right? They say it's fucking exhausting work. And you need to take you need to take some breaks here and there to kind of, you know, get away from the computer, just have a bit of a break in terms of lifestyle, whatever maybe, but it's really difficult to do all the time, every single day. So the fact that he does that with no stop, with no fucking burnout and shit is admirable, but also it's kind of clearly being exploited because they know they can count on him all the time. They know that they can count on him, because I'm sure there's probably going to be a clip on this. I'm sure there is. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm sure there's going to be a section in this video, we're going to be watching this vlog, where he's going to be working on holiday. So his title is this vlog, My First Vacay in 7 Years, Took My Parents Back to Korea. I'm pretty sure in this vlog, we're going to see a clip of him working remotely in fucking South Korea while he's on holiday with his parents for the first time in 7 years. As a brag. That is crazy to me. Right? If you're going to be working that hard for 7 years, you should be afforded 1 week of not being able to touch your computer or not being able to look at your emails. You should be allowed that grace. Like, that's fucking wild. But anyway, not my business. Let's play the vlog.
Let's go to Korea. I'll see you there.
So this nigga's always drinking alone, innit? Not that it matters. I drink alone myself a lot, but it's just on video. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. Anyway, we're already stopping it 1 second in, but this nigga's always drinking alone. It's just fucking hilarious. This is definitely some Asian shit, innit? Guys had a full beverage, a whiskey and a beer, and a full fucking Panda Express rice with chicken and shit before a flight. Wasn't I saying earlier before another pod, I was like, I'm kind of a fan now of like doing the whole fasting before I fly. And then wherever I land, especially if it's a European flight, just eat when you get there. But the you know, the eating of a burger before, It's just annoying. The sound, it's just too much sometimes. You get on a plane, the pressure inside the plane, the altitude, it can fuck you up a little bit. But this guy's had a full bowl of fucking rice, a beer, and a whiskey before a flight. Fair play. And then he ate on the plane again. This guy's Chin is fucking. That's the one part about him that's definitely Asian, isn't it? He can eat. He can fucking chow down food, boy. He fucking is a human trash can for real. Like, he gobbles down food. He just had a full meal at the airport, a beer and a whiskey, and whatever airport food they give you. Fucking hell. He must have blew up that plane toilet. Shit, I guess Brendan's rubbing off on him, innit? But I think someone someone said that Koreans drink a lot, innit? Right? That's part of their culture, right? They can drink pretty well, so probably that makes sense why he's, you know, necking down the beverages too. Because God Almighty, Chin.
To the motherland, at least the airport. New tattoo ideas.
You're gonna get new tattoo ideas from artwork you see in an airport.
We're doing our first ever night on the town in Korea.
Wow. Don't get me wrong. If I was in that fucking market, I'd be fucking gobbling it. But like, wouldn't you want to exchange whatever you ate at the airport and ate in the plane for just this? Wouldn't you want to just land there and just go fucking crazy from the beginning of this market all the way until the end? That's what I'd do if that was me. I would be gobbling up everything in sight from the beginning of this market to the very end. That's what I'd be doing. I wouldn't be eating a fucking Panda Express from the fucking airport. No? Or am I bugging out? I don't know. I'd wanna go to Korea and fucking soak in all the fucking smells, the scents, the noise. Like, oh, you know? I'd wanna suck everything in there. Do you know what I mean? Gobble it all up, bro.
Blocks and blocks of this stuff.
Yo, Chin can eat, bro. Chin can fucking eat. Holy shit. He is munching this stuff. Like, it's actually impressive how much this guy can fucking gobble down. God almighty, bro. I'd be shitting out of every orifice in my body. He had 2 meals. One before the plane. One on the plane. Then having however many bowls here. Whew. This guy's got a metabolism and a half, bro. Wait, so here? Wait, what's that text there? My dad was worried my mom wasn't filming correctly. Fair play.
Alright, we're back at the crib. And now getting the party started, the after party. Let's go. Just kidding. Good night. Yes, even in Korea, still gotta do work. I gotta send a bunch of audio numbers to the team.
Nah. That's not cool. That's not cool, man. That's not cool. You're out on holiday. You're back to the mother country, to the motherland with your parents. You know, usually something that doesn't happen too often, especially in your adult age, to be able to go on holiday with your parents. You go back home, and then you're spending time, instead of sleeping, instead of chatting with your parents late at night, you're here on your bed with their, I don't know, shitty or good Wi-Fi, wherever you got going there, working. Come on, man. Brendan couldn't give you just a week, 7 days, 5 days to just be with your family and just enjoy your time off. Because if anything, I'd imagine if you're a Chin and you're working in that role, part of making maybe to stay inspired, to stay fucking driven, to stay fucking hungry, is to have a bit of break. Have some breaks here and there. Why can't you just be able to just couch and chill? Why do you have to be working all the time like this? Especially for the amount of time you put in. Surely 7 years of non-stop work should afford you the luxury to just be able to just stop for 7 days. I'm not saying, because in my opinion, when you consider how far away South Korea is, especially on a flight, I'm assuming it's like a minimum of 10 hours. I'm assuming, even from the States. If that's the case, you're essentially taking a day to fly there and a day to fly back. If that's me and you're going back home, that's a minimum of a 2-week holiday, in my opinion. That's 2 weeks. If you want to be technical, 14 days. But in my opinion, I think that's 2 weeks. You should be allowed to go home. Especially if you live, like, you know what I mean? Your family's in Southeast Asia. Your family's in South America. Your family's in fucking Africa and shit. You should be afforded the ability to go and hang out with your family. Even if you're not going to do 2 weeks, maybe give me a week and a half. But 7 days, which makes it 5 days only in your motherland. And then you have to spend some hours during the day fucking working on your laptop and sending stuff remote. Like, no one gives a fuck what quality the show comes out in. Whatever. You can get someone to do the work for you for the in-between times. It's like, I don't know. I feel like this is really, really horrendous. And if anything, goes to show just how weird the fucking working relationship is at FIGG Boy. Because in my opinion, I think if you're Brendan, you can fuck over everybody. You can, if you want to. It's not bad. It's not good karma, clearly. But if you want to fuck over BGO because you think he's disposable, fair enough. If you want to fuck over Malik because you don't like him, fair enough. If you want to fuck over MJ because whatever, she's not doing enough work, whatever. If you, whoever you want to fire and fuck over because you think they're disposable and they're replaceable, cool. Even though I don't think that's good karma, not good energy to put out there, but cool. But one person you shouldn't be fucking over, in my opinion, you should always keep him close to your chest or close to you as possible and make sure they're okay and make sure they're always happy, is someone like a Chin. Because he's a one-man machine. He's switching scenes when he's in the studio. He's editing. He's clipping. No, not clipping, but he's, you know, he's uploading shit, like recording, audio, all this, whatever he's doing. He's one-man machine. So if anyone should be fucking looked after, it should be him. But what do I know?
This will take quite some time. But yeah, I'm going to try to get as much done as possible before my family heads out. Alright, let's get the day started. On our way to see Grandma. Yeah, everything's We're on our way to a restaurant with the family, my dad's side, and it is packed here. I'm guessing it's going to be expensive, which I'm paying for, so let's see how it goes. Beautiful in the front here. We're all seated here. I'll show you what the crowd looks like. There's my mom, my Como, my aunt. There's my Como's son, Youngju. There's part of the family as well, and then all the family members here. BRYAN.
Do you remember when Chin was saying that sometimes people think he's white? Do you remember that? Do you remember when Chin was saying that sometimes people think he's like, oh, was it Texan or some shit? Do you remember? Because he sings country music. Do you remember Chin said that, like, with a straight face, that he thought people think he was white? This is the fucking sweetest Asian family ever, but they're, as Brendan would say, they're Asian as shit. They look fucking adorable, but there's absolutely nothing Caucasian about these people in the slightest. Do you remember when he said that? He thought people... Oh, you gotta love Chin, man.
너무 큰 거니까 뭐 다 조심해. 됐습니다.
This is the restaurant we're going to meet up with my aunt and husband. It's called Hyungbukpo.
Can you imagine? Can you, like, I don't know. I think Asian families are a little bit like African families, probably, right? Maybe not maybe South Koreans aren't as traditional as other Asians. I'm not really too sure. But can you imagine the amount of times people in Chin's family have asked him during the trip, when you're going to get married, when you're going to have kids? Can you imagine how many times that's come up in a conversation? Can you imagine how fucking, like, exhausting that must have been, like, for him being at this fucking trip? It's like, oh, like, and he's, the only thing he's fucking married to is fucking, what's it called? The only thing he's married to, the only thing he's married to is Brendan Shaw. And find the kid. They're probably thinking he's speaking to his girlfriend when he's on the computer all the time, but he's sending back clips. They think he's on Skype with his girlfriend, but he's talking to fucking what's his face? Who's that fat kid? George, right? Oh man, must be so exhausting. Like, god damn it, man. Like, I don't know. I'm fucking. I'm sad. I'm so sad. I really do feel really sad for Jin this whole entire time with his fam. Yo, big up Juan Marcos.
Has Brendan traveled outside the US? Sometimes I think his bigotry comes out of that.
Has Brendan ever tried? Hey, big up Juan Marcos. Thank you for the one. I was like, what is that? I don't know what ARS is, but thank you so much. Regardless, I appreciate you, my friend. Let me like this comment. Has Brendan traveled outside the US? Sometimes I think his bigotry. Yeah, for sure. I've said it before that I honestly, no, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say it. Fuck it. It's my fucking. I say what the fuck I want. I personally think, me personally. I personally think, my humble opinion, is that Brendan does have an issue with black people. That's my personal opinion. He may enjoy the music, he may like the raps, he may like the comedy, he may like the fashions and the sneakers and the bad bitches and shit. But I think, does Brendan actually like black people? Like having them as friends or whatever? No, not in the slightest. And I feel like a lot of that has to come with like college days. Like something happened in college with football. One of them bagged his girl. I don't know. Something happened. So I think if there's one place where he's got bigotry, it's definitely against African Americans. I think he's not a fan. That's my only opinion. Everybody else, I think, is definitely what you said, Juan Marcos. It's definitely a lack of, traveling. The guy is like, Brendan's the kind of person I can imagine who says stuff like, I'm sure you guys have it in America specifically. You have a lot of it because you have so many different cultures there. But there's definitely people in America, I think, who say phrases like, why would I need to go to Japan for sushi when we've got great sushi around here? Right? I'm sure those people exist. And I think Brendan's the same. Because LA is like a multicultural, worldwide city type of thing. Why would I need to go to Mexico when I got great Mexican here? You know what I mean? Like, it's like all that sort of shit. So I think he's got that kind of level of bigotry. Like, there's no need to travel because in his head, America's the best, or there's no reason to go other places to go see what they're good for. There's no curiosity. And that's the other thing too. He has a real lack of, I think, overall curiosity. He's not really in nothing really. Think about it. Like everything's just like social media posts and headlines. There's no real curiosity to learn things and to go a bit in depth and to whatever. It's just, that's probably why he's really into fucking, this is a really weird take, but this is probably why he's into fucking what's it called? Serial killer documentaries and shit. I feel like a lot of people in general who like watching, again, I don't blame you if you do, but I feel like a lot of people who watch documentaries like they're fucking history books, like they're reading history books, it's a way for you to feel like you're smart. Or it's a way to help make you feel like you're intellectual. You get what I mean? It's like people that like to watch documentaries and they take them as gospel and shit. It's a strange thing because it makes you feel like you've got an interest, you got a hobby when you watch 4 back-to-back or something. It's like, come on, bro. It's like, really? Like, it's a documentary. It's got a point of view. It's got a bias. It's got a narrative it's trying to push. It's got an agenda. Like, you know what I mean? It comes from a particular viewpoint. It's meant to be entertaining. None of this is reality. None of this is actually giving you the real deeper level understanding of what's going on. Maybe it can be a way in, but it's not going to give you everything. So yeah, that's my thinking of it. But I don't want to go on a rant about it because if I start talking about it, everyone's going to be upset because I'm going to start saying stuff that's going to make me look a bit, So I'll keep it to myself. Hey yo, auntie looking a bit. Hey yo, auntie looking a bit. Not that auntie. Hey yo, auntie looking a bit. Hey yo, auntie looking a bit. Hey yo, auntie, what go on, auntie? What's good? You're right, auntie. I'm a bit hungry, auntie. You got some noodles, something for man. You got some, you know what I mean, auntie. I'm a little bit hungry still. You got any of them dumplings and spring roll things, auntie? What's going on, auntie? You got some of those. You know, you make those. Don't Koreans make those chicken wings, auntie? Those like spicy chicken wings, auntie. What's going on, man? You know I'm black. You know I like them chicken. You know that chicken you guys make, man. That crispy one, crispy like you. You know what I mean, auntie? Auntie looking a bit, you know, a little bit. You know what I mean? Korean Angelina Jolie and that with the fucking cheekbones. I mean,
This is the main dish, the CARLEE chicken.
Hey, yo, objectively, for my foodies out there, the food here looks fucking banging, no? Or am I going crazy? The food looks fucking delightful. Korea's a fucking foodie's paradise, isn't it? Jesus Christus. Look at this cleanliness in this train is how we have it sometimes. Like, if like the mayor of London or our prime minister has to do like a press run, and they have to pretend like they take the train to fucking the House of Commons or whatever it may be, right? Right? They'll usually clean out one particular carriage and have no one there, or they'll place like some disabled guy and a black boy with a basketball and some dude with a white kid with a skateboard, right? And it'll be the cleanest part of the train, right? To make it look like they're actually in a real place. But this is what normal trains in Korea look like. Look at that shit. You could drop your sandwich in this shit and pick it up and it's fine. Like, this is spotless. You can actually eat your dinner from this floor. Look at it. Wow. It's shining. Like, even in like 480p, whatever I got this video in, it's literally glistening. Look at the order. Look at everybody orderly sitting down. Like, wow. Wow, wow, wow.
Jen, you want to make a video?
Nah, man, this is kind of cute. I'm not gonna lie. Brendan had this guy working on this type of holiday with you. Like, come on, man. Brendan had these, like, let the guy just chill for a week. No work, please. No emails or nothing. Just let him chill.
다 나오는데 작게 나와요. 한번 보세요. 좀 작게 나오는데.
Thank you very much. There's all the street food I wanted to try too. Not right now though. I have to do it.
Okay, this makes me furious as well. Didn't he do the first video when he was in Korea? He went to fucking a 7-Eleven. Why didn't he just pick food from here? Why do you have to go to a fucking 7 and get the horror? You got that sausage and an egg. Like, come on, Chin, bro. This food looks way better than the shit that you got before.
Do it later.
Let's get that.
No sauce? 뜨거워?
Deep fried shrimp.
That bite's so small. Okay. Good. 아이고 귀엽다.
The name is empty.
That's actually not 냉면, that's eating 국수. 야, 맛있게 먹어, 아빠. My mom's the toughest one. She doesn't like anything. 어때, 엄마? 어때? 맛있어? I don't believe you, but okay.
What are you saying, Auntie? Auntie, what are you saying? What are you saying, Aunt?
Wow. Very rare. Very rare that my mom likes.
Oh, imagine how tasty that is. It's gonna be crispy at the bottom, some burnt bits and shit. That kimchi rice, oh, crackling in front of you. Fuck, man. Fuck. Just imagine, crispy, just.
It's now Monday night. We just woke up from a nap. My mom says she doesn't sleep during the day, but she slept for a little while at least. And we're heading to a dinner spot with my Como. My Como's back. She's gonna stay with us for the rest of the trip, which is awesome. But for now, we're looking for a spot to eat at because my mom's hungry, my dad's hungry, and I think my Como's hungry too. So.
The competition amongst restaurants in Korea must be so fucking fierce, isn't it? Everybody out there fucking eats like crazy. There's tons of fucking great places to go to, from street vendors to market people to whatever, right? Like hole in the walls. You really have to be on your shit. You really have to be competing at the highest level. You have to be competing every day Super Bowl day, right? In the fucking busy districts of fucking South Korea. So every day is a fucking Super Bowl. Like you have to be really, really going for it. Because if you slack a little bit and the rumors get out that you don't make your rice a certain way or this is not good, you are dead. You are dead.
We'll try to find a spot, and I'm gonna try to find a sit there before I start grubbing. So we'll see what we find. This is where I saw them filming last night. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure, Brandon. Yeah. Korea's definitely on my list. Vietnam's on my list in places to go to in Asia. Japan, obviously, especially Tokyo, because of my fucking streetwear fucking roots and stuff, and just wanting to spend money and buy loads of shit. Like, I'd love to go to those places, of course. And also, I've seen videos of like guys who live in like the Chinese countryside and shit. And I've never, this is a whole different part of China that isn't, the stuff that you're obviously used to seeing, like Beijing and shit. But God Almighty, mate, the Chinese countryside looks really fun. Like farmlands and shit, really rural. The food is completely different to what I'm obviously used to in terms of the westernized version of what Chinese food is. Like that would be great to go somewhere completely out of, completely out of the way. Really not overly kind of, gentrified either. Not a lot of fucking gringos like myself and shit. That'd be sick.
Yeah, like drama or movie. Yep. Beautiful. Saw some booms, lights. Here? Yeah. So I guess we're gonna hit this spot here.
Pork dishes. Me not eat swine. Go eat swine and it's cooked good.
Oh, sure. Thank you. Como?
Chin ain't even gonna pass. Chin ain't even gonna pass for Bert up because he's aggro. Koila, man, you need to relax. You need to relax. You need to relax. Someone tell Koila he needs to relax. You need to chill. I don't know why that got me. But you need to relax. You really do need to relax. Like, you need to relax. He's trying, okay? You need to relax. You need to chill. Oh, oh shit.
고마워.
Yo, I would eat every single dish I've seen here so far. This fucking food looks fantastic. God almighty, mate. Who said it? Who said this? Iron privilege, double chin. No, that's the thing though. He doesn't put on any weight, mate. He eats like a fucking. He eats more than Wings of Redemption, but he doesn't seem to put anything on, mate. Like he's fucking got a fantastic metabolism, so you should be thankful for that, man. He looks fucking fantastic. To be fair, completely like he waffles down the food. Like he doesn't. Chin is not shy, bro. He eats like this guy eats for real. Like no cap in his raps. Man might want some other meat in there, innit? You get me? Man might want some other meat in there still, auntie.
She did it for the camera.
Oh, that's cute, isn't it? Right? Get fucking pampered and spoiled by the fam and shit. But then you got to rush back to fucking LA to fucking sort out FIGG Boy and get fucking the Fire and the Kid fucking episodes uploaded. Honestly, man, give this guy a fucking break, man. Let him have 14 days minimum to spend time with his family in fucking South Korea. Come on, man. Jesus Christ.
그래서 동영상?
응, 동영상이야. 많이 사랑해요. 잘했어요.
Okay, part 2 on Sunday. Okay, we'll do another one. Okay, cool. So part 2 on Sunday. I'll probably stream another one, then do the other part of it. But this was actually a good one. This actually felt nice. This actually was good. Yeah, exactly. Chin is tall as fuck compared to his fucking family. He doesn't seem to have any other people in his family that are as tall as him. So, or maybe his family are really short and he just looks taller because, you know, they're just tiny. But anyway, regardless, this was actually a good one. This actually didn't make me feel sad. It just made me bummed out that he didn't get more time to spend with his family, but that's his business, I guess. If he's willing to rush back home to fucking sort out FIGG Boy shit, you know, instead of negotiating more time off, what can we do? I mean, if he's happy with it, he's happy with it. But I feel like if you've given 7 years of non-stop service, minimal sick days, because I don't remember the last time Chin's not here because he's sick. I can't remember the last time they even said that. So he never takes sick days. He probably works through them. He probably turned up in the mask when he's got ill and just worked through the thing, did it remotely and shit. So you deserve at least a minimum of 14 days to go spend with your family in fucking South Korea, bro. In my opinion. But hey, if you're okay with it, I'm okay with it. So it is what it is. That was actually a good one. I enjoyed that one for once. It didn't bum me out. It didn't make me feel like I should jump out the nearest window. It didn't make me kind of, you know, whatever. I left that one with a smile on my face. That's what I'm gonna say. But yeah, big up the chat. I appreciate all of you. I'm gonna end it there. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure, never a chore, as per usual. Big up everybody in the chat who's hung in there also. I appreciate all of you for being there with me. Let's actually see who's here and give all of you a shout out. So big up Aryan Privilege, I see Bilal, Booth, Brandon, Bryan, Cloud K20, K20, sorry, or K20, Crash, of course. Big up Gamebred Footballer, big up Jesse Black, big up Coiler, big up the Potter Main, big up Natasha, big up Uche, big up Bala, big up The One Under. Big up every single one of you that have joined in. I appreciate all of you. So make sure if you do enjoy the show, you liked what you've seen, please make sure that you leave me a little smashy likey down below. That'll be great and well appreciated. And yeah, man, I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Okay, see you all again very soon. I appreciate you all for being there, hanging in there, all of that malarkey, and we'll see you soon. Big up everybody. Peace. Peace out to my friends. Peace out.